Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome back to another live stream where we are going to be taking a look over my past content and evaluating how cringy or not cringy it is. Welcome back to the show. We took last week off for Easter, and now we are back and better than ever. So I know the title says seasons 5 and 6. But I don't know that we're gonna get to season 6 today. We'll have to see. Basically, I could guarantee we get to season 6 if we just rush through this. But I don't want to rush through this. I wanna take our time and really kind of say everything we need to say and celebrate these videos for what they are. So yes. Oh yeah, so we got PyCons up in here. Ready? Yeah, I feel kind of neutral about it. Oh man, this is awesome. Ugh, I can't believe this happened. PyCons! Right now I've just got the 3 set up, but I should be able to set up more in the future. What do you guys think? It's cutting edge stream technology. Thank you for the super chat. Basically, Bailey, my friend's been showing me Buffy for the first time. We recently got to the first episode of season 5, and I still haven't processed what happened. Oh man, Buffy. Buffy is one of those shows I watched in high school, and I just, I, d- I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I just don't know that I can ever go back to it because it's just one of those shows that's just like, it's of a time, you know? Like, I very much enjoyed it. I do recommend it if you've never seen it. I just don't know if I could see it again. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. I don't even remember what happens, from season 4 to season 5, but I can tell you season 5 is certainly a ride. I think season 5 was my favorite season of Buffy. And then you can get to the musical episode in season 6 and then just stop because it peaks right there. Hello. Do I still like Nintendo games, and are you by any chance excited for Tamagotchi Life Living the Dream? I do still like Nintendo games. I got a Switch too. I don't really have any interest in Tamagotchi though. I feel like I need more goal-oriented games. Like that's just kind of the player I am. Like every so often there'll be something like a Minecraft, like a creative thing where um, it really pulls me in that way. Especially if I can play with friends. But by and large, things like The Sims, I'm like, this is neat for 5 minutes, and then I don't know. I need more like solid, concrete objectives, and not as much kind of just like open play around nature. Uh, do I have DK Bonanza? Oh yeah. Oh man, I Bonanza was fantastic. Bonanza is probably my game of the year last year. Just really, really fun. Played that in pretty quick succession. Very fun game. Uh, have I played Pokopia? Yeah, I rented it from a friend. I'm glad I didn't purchase it. I enjoyed it. I think it's a cool game. It's just a lot of money that I just don't. I'm just kind of waiting. I know the price won't come down, but I just can't justify spending that amount of money right this second. Um, when you have a family, it's the sort of thing where you can't just get video games just because you really want them. But I did enjoy the time I spent with it, and probably will pick it up at some point. Thank you for the super chat, Epic Gamer. Hey Pie Guy, I can't wait for you to rank the certified hood banger that is your Atlantis SquarePants review. Immediate S tier. Oh man. PyCons are back, baby. Thank you for the super chat, Dorothy. I don't know, you guys seem to like the PyCons, so here they are. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. We will be getting into this in a little bit. We'll give like 10 minutes of just kind of chit chatting and hanging out before we start watching season 5 here. So yeah, thoughts on the upcoming Avatar projects, the adult Aang movie, and the series about Avatar after Korra. I am like very curious. I am excited. I will watch them. I don't know that they're going to be any good or any. I don't really have any expectations. Korra was a mixed bag for sure, and that was like what, over a decade ago at this point. So it's just been a very long time, and I feel like the time to strike while the iron was hot with Avatar was like a few years ago when like the next generation was kind of discovering it. But hey, if taking their time means a better product overall, then great. But it's just very weird. That Avatar thing was much like the Adventure Time thing, where we just they announced so many projects and ideas, and like, yeah, we're doing a whole Avatar studio, and that was announced like years ago. That was years, and we still haven't seen anything from it. So I am excited, but I am very cautious, cautiously excited, I guess. Uh, I yeah, I guess I'll give also the spiel about like I don't like that they recast everyone in it. I understand the push for more like representative casting, right, among demographics and ethnicities. I totally get that, but I also feel like if you're adapting you're taking an existing franchise, it's like just use the voices people love. Just do it. Like if you're gonna make new characters, great. Please cast correctly, but like for this fictional version of Asia, do we need a new voice for everyone? Like, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Robot Guy, who says corn dog. Okay. Oh my gosh, super chats, guys. Hold on. Project Hail Mary was the bomb. Thank you, Pran. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see it. I think I said last time I read the book. I'm very, very excited. I just haven't. Unfortunately, small child means you can't go to the movies whenever. But I'm very excited. I'm hoping to watch it at a drive-in. That would be a cool thing to do. I don't know if that's going to work out for me, but I would like to do that. Watching Project Hail Mary under the stars would be mwah. Thank you for the super chat, Hayden. You're always one of my faves to listen to in middle school. Thanks for all the laughs, and thanks for just being such a calm, pleasant person to listen to. Oh, well, thank you. I try. Thank you, Anthony. Do I still wear glasses? Yes, I do, although I am considering LASIK surgery. Thank you, Noxier. Heard you really like Seinfeld. As a huge Seinfeld fan, what are your favorite episodes? Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I mean, I like some of the really wacky stuff in the later seasons, but I also like the classics. The forgive me, I'm not the best on the names of them. I watched a lot of them in reruns on like TBS growing up, but the one where they're stuck in the parking garage is pretty top tier right there. Waiting is way overhated. Please don't kill me. I'll try not to. Thank you for the super chat, Jenna. New Leaf would be better if Plankton just said, "Oh wow, I got the formula after all," instead of admitting it was all a plan. I think there are definitely ways of making New Leaf work, for sure, but it's tricky. For a second, I thought we were talking about Animal Crossing. My YouTube dashboard told me that I've been on YouTube for 18 years, that I created my account 18 years ago, and that's a statistic that I'm like, what? I don't love that. Oh, dear. Thank you, Ethan. Just watched Project Hail Mary yesterday. It was amazing. The next movie I'm going to watch in theaters is The Devil Wears Prada 2. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Thoughts on Fiona and Cake Season 1, despite disliking Season 2? Season 1 was one of my favorite Adventure Time seasons ever. I think there's... I don't want to say too much, because there's a solid chance that I will review Season 1 of Fiona and Cake as well at some point. But without giving too much away, I thought Season 1 was great overall. I thought it did a lot of things really, really, really correctly. It's this type of thing that watching it the first time, I was a little more down on. But after rewatching it and kind of really absorbing everything that it is and all the little details and everything, yeah, I agree. I think it is maybe one of the best stretches of Adventure Time. It took the mini-series format of something like Stakes from Adventure Time and really expanded it into a full 10 episode epic journey. All right, few more questions and comments here, and then we're gonna hop on into the world of the Sponge. Do the old website exclusive videos of yours still exist somewhere, or are they fully lost media? I came around too late to see them. I've always been curious. I made website exclusive videos. No, I assume you're talking about like I did like a Rugrats retrospective, like a one part of them, and then I don't know what else I did for the website. That was so long ago. I don't even know if I have them. They might be entirely lost media. I have no idea. No idea. All right. And then I guess one disclaimer that I want to say before we start season 5 here is I did see some people in the comments of the last stream talk about like Pie Guy's updating his ratings, he's changing, changing his reviews, like quickly make a new slide, re-review it, all that stuff. And I do just want to say, although in those previous streams and probably in this stream too, I do say like I would probably rate this higher, or I'm not as bothered by that these days, or whatever. Like, I do say stuff like that. Just know that I haven't seen these episodes in, like, at least 3 or 4 years. So, like, these aren't reviews, Like, I'm reviewing my reviews, but I'm not reviewing the thing I reviewed, if that makes sense. So, take it all with a grain of salt. If you want to see them treat them as, I reviewed them again, like, go for it. But just with that disclaimer of, like, I would maybe trust the version of Pie Guy that had seen these episodes multiple times as a review than me currently. Thank you for the super chat. Pran, worst community episodes. Oh, the season 4 finale. They did not make paintball cool again. Very sad. Very sad. Love Megan Gans as a writer, but that one was a clear miss. There is a channel called Pie Guy Remastered where someone remastered your old SpongeBob videos and makes them look modern. I think it's a fan channel. Yeah, I have nothing to do with that. Just to be completely clear, I feel a little weird about someone taking my videos and, quote, making them better or whatever. But, once something's out on the internet, you just kind of have to accept, I guess, where it is. So, that does not have my stamp of approval by any chance. But, hey, they're doing it. I appreciate that they're passionate enough to want to do something like that. Let me have some coffee, and we're gonna get things rolling here. All right. Oh, I should probably make it so you guys can hear it too. That might help. Let me know how the audio is on this, and if you can see it and hear it and all that stuff.
Are you ready, kids? PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome to every episode of SpongeBob Season 5 Reviewed. We've got a lot to cover once again, so I'll keep this intro short. My history with the season is that I've seen pretty much every episode exactly once as it aired. There are a few episodes I haven't seen, maybe like 3 or 4, as well as a few episodes that I've seen more than once, like SpongeHenge. It's been a long time since I've seen any of these, so going into this review, I had very little expectations one way or the other. Before we begin the review, I have to offer 3 disclaimers. 1. If you haven't seen any of my Square Theory videos, I'd advise you to check them out before watching this, as I occasionally discuss.
So I had started doing Square Theory. That's right. I think it was after season 4, I really started going like ham on like, let's do spongy bits, let's do Square Theory, let's create all these new series around talking about SpongeBob. Like, quick, Pie Guy, grab onto the sponge while you can. It's what people want to see. So yeah, I don't know why I'm calling this a disclaimer. Like that sounds so serious.
Some of the theories I posted in those videos. It's not necessary, of course, but you might understand the way I review some of these episodes better if you watch them. Disclaimer number 2. These episodes contain major plot twists that will be spoiled by me, so if you haven't seen any of the episodes and you really want to check one out completely fresh, now would be your chance. And lastly, this season is where people seem to get really mixed on what to rate these episodes. So even if you agreed with me pretty much on everything up to this point, be prepared to not agree with some of my opinions. It's perfectly fine as long as you're polite about it. And in fact,
Yeah, be polite about it. Thank you for the super chat, Dave. My favorite review of yours was Frozen Face Off, since you gushed about it. IMO, the most underrated episode. I never saw anybody else praise it before you. Frozen Face Off is the one where they're like bobsledding? No, not bobsledding. They're it's like a sled race or something, right? Is that episode, or is it that's not Face Freeze? No, that's oh dear, memories. Also, if your profile picture is Matt Murdock, you are awesome, and if it's not, you're probably also awesome too. But
statistically be very surprised if you did agree with me on everything. With all that said, let's get started on the episodes. Episode 81, SpongeBob, Friend or Foe, without a question mark for some reason. Mr. Krabs tells the story of how he and Plankton became rivals. My favorite part of the episode is just the backstory of it all. Of the fact that, yes, Mr. Krabs likes money because he was incredibly poor, and he actually spent the first money he ever found on his buddy Plankton. It also goes into a very unique story of how both Plankton and Krabs think they own the Krabby Patty formula. Yes, Mr. Krabs does own it, but it would never have come into being if it weren't for Plankton. And overall, this is the big strength of the episode. This is a SpongeBob story that is actually fairly serious. And yes, the plot of, oh, how did Mr. Krabs and Plankton become rivals is kind of a ratings trap plot, but it is actually a decent
ratings trap plot. Okay. I mean, I think I understand what I'm trying to say here, but I probably shouldn't. It's probably just a weird way to say it. It's just that it's and also, like, I don't know, like, does it matter? Like, it's a plot that is big, right? It's a story that is trying to go into the lore of SpongeBob, such that it has any. But it's also a story that makes sense. I don't know that I'd call this a ratings trap plot like that. A ratings trap plot is like the SpongeBob You're Fired or something, where, you know, it's something that's meant to evoke, like, ooh, like, is SpongeBob gonna leave the Krusty Krab forever? And it's like, no, he's not. The answer is always gonna be no. Whereas this is like a backstory that is, it like makes sense.
Told story, and I might add, it does have a nice number of jokes. It's not an episode that's gonna make you laugh out loud every 5 minutes, but it's got an intriguing story that keeps your focus with a few jokes here and there that keeps you chuckling. This is the perfect balance of story and comedy, and about as serious as I ever really want to see a SpongeBob episode get. And this episode ends up being, in my opinion, a much better version of last season's New Leaf, where you're never actually fooled into thinking that a character change is going to happen, but you still get to see Plankton and Krabs being friends as kids. Also, their designs as kids is really adorable. I mean, there's some other great stuff in here, like Stinky mugging for the camera, the whole like and respect back and forth going on with the kids, and we get to see a cameo of Mr. Krabs' first dollar. There's enough good things in this episode to distract from some of the bad or stupid things, like the fact that Karen was apparently there filming the entire situation from multiple camera angles. Yeah, that doesn't make any sort of sense, but it's a storytelling device, so who cares? Over on the Patchy side of things, Patchy and Potty decide to get jobs at a burger joint. I like this because it really kind of plays with the Patchy and Potty formula. Rather having them just be at home hanging out watching SpongeBob.
I'm like skipping words. I just said rather than having them.
They're actually out doing something in this episode. It's cool to see Potty get a managerial position over Patchy. It's cool to see Patchy struggle with something and go through, I guess, kind of a mini character arc for Patchy. And the thing about all of this is that this is the last time in a very, very long while we're going to see anything good come from Patchy segments. So enjoy it while you can.
Voting.
It's pretty solid and nice to see Patchy and Potty after their long absence in Season 4. It's nothing groundbreaking or crazy good or anything like that, and it's definitely not my favorite Patchy segments, but it's good nonetheless. So, as you may have gleaned, the entire thing adds up to one good episode. And a shining example of how to do a SpongeBob special and how to do a more serious episode.
Alright, that review was long. I'll give it that. I don't think that was a good review, though, to be honest. I feel like I just kind of listed things and not even in like a very organized way. Like it was a lot of just kind of like, well, I like this and I like this and this is also neat. But you know, this wasn't too good, but this was okay and I like that, but that didn't work. Like I feel like this is a product of my reviews being more like bullet pointed. You know, that this needed a little bit better formatting, I'd say. People up A tier, B tier? I don't think so. I think come on, it was good. S tier. I don't know. I think I'd maybe give it a C tier review. It wasn't awful, but I just feel like it could have been a little more concise. A tier. I like the music. C tier it is.
82A, the original fry cook. SpongeBob gets jealous when the Krusty Krab's previous fry cook pays a visit. This is another episode that focuses more on the plot than it does on being funny. It has its jokes, and I'll get to those in a minute, but it's more focused on this interesting dynamic of a character that neither we nor SpongeBob has ever met before, but all the other characters seem to know and love. SpongeBob has to deal with an inferiority complex because really, no matter how good you are at something, there's always going to be someone that's better. And the plot of the episode comes from a pretty real place. It's a common third wheel syndrome, and it's really not Mr. Krabs' fault in this instance because, hey, he can see SpongeBob anytime he wants. Now, he's still kind of a jerk to SpongeBob, and that's not totally excused, but at least it's partially justified. I also really like the character of Jim. He's interesting. He makes a lot of backhanded comments, but he really isn't overtly a jerk, just a little bit of a jerk. He says some not so nice things to SpongeBob, but he also seems to genuinely want to help him improve. Patton Oswalt does a great job voicing him, and the character is well designed. And I have a crazy hunch that we're never gonna see him again. The worst part of this episode is that it can be a little bit dry at times, a little bit repetitious in its montage of SpongeBob making patties and Jim shooting him down, and SpongeBob...
Oh, geez, my headset just died. That's not good. Hang on a sec, guys. That was weird.
Jumps to conclusions, as he usually does, without letting the situation play out a little bit more, or maybe having him realize that there's always going to be someone better than him, and that's no reason to just quit his job. Also, I don't think the writers exactly know what solid gold means. But all of this is forgiven by the fact that the dull moments make the really fantastic moments even more fantastic and surprising. And what I'm talking about is the flashbacks. There are other jokes in this episode, but the primary jokes are that apparently Mr. Krabs and Squidward were working at the Krusty Krab in the 70s, complete with all of the lingo and the sideburns and the hair, and it's really funny to see it for the first time, and it's even funnier when they go back for a second time. Those scenes really steal the episode, and between those scenes and the interesting character of Jim, this episode is definitely a good one. Also, you gotta love the fact that the fake sideburns make a return, as well as the Employee of the Month wall.
This is back when I was still enamored with the concept of SpongeBob, like, bringing things back. Thank you for the super chat, Nevirus. I find the Avatar Aang recasting of Zuko specifically really confusing, considering his OG voice actor, Dante Bosco, was an Asian voice actor. Why was he recast? Yeah, I have no idea. Cynically, I want to say that they did just genuinely recast everyone to pay them less. And then, say it's for authenticity or whatever, but I don't really know. Video's a little loud compared to your voice. I did lower the video a little bit. Thank you for that, Bailey. And then thank you, Tazin. A joke I love quoting is Mrs. Puff. In Mrs. Puff, you're fired. Did I pass the test? Well, if there was a destroy the city part of the test, you would have. That's good. Is this AI? Oh, dear. Did they ever bring this guy back, by the way? Probably not, right? or no, he's probably he's a main character now. He's a featured character on SpongeBob who appears in every third episode, like Nosferatu. Oh, dear. But yeah, as far as this review goes, I do think it's an A-tier review, actually. I explained myself pretty well here. I list some positives and some negatives, talk about why the character works, and I think just explained myself very well. Not yet. They haven't brought him back. All right. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Is the recast going to make a comeback? Probably not. Probably not. Monsters is a busy, busy person.
Episode 82B, Nightlight. SpongeBob gets a bunch of nightlights after becoming afraid of the dark, which attracts a supervillain. The weird thing about this episode is that it abruptly turns into a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode in like the last 4 minutes. And I don't mean like it's Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3 or 4, which are only loosely tied to them and they kind of have cameos. No. I mean nothing related to superheroes or their villains or anything related to Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy at all shows up in this episode until there's about 4 minutes left. It's like the writers just ran out of things to do for SpongeBob and Patrick in this plot and had to just interject them to try and breathe some life into a pretty dumb episode. Mermaid Man even says, "Why are we here?" at the end, as if the writers are just acknowledging the fact that they were thrown in haphazardly at the last minute. And while I'm speaking on the second half of this episode, I will say some of the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy stuff is decent. I like the reveal of the moth being tiny. He's played by Mark Hamill, so of course it's pretty great. And Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy get in a few one-liners, but other than that, it's completely pointless. And as far as the first half of this episode, it's way worse. I mean, the second half is meh, but the first half is really stupid, and it's insulting that they drag Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy into this mess. It's primarily made up of SpongeBob screaming and irrationally and stupidly being afraid of the dark. My favorite part of the episode is the very beginning, where SpongeBob is trying to sleep, and he gets scared. I think they did a good job of setting up why he's afraid of the dark, and it's actually kind of cool the way they transition out of that scene into the next one. It's really eerie and foreboding. After that, though, the episode just goes right downhill, only to come back up a little bit when Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy show up. If you haven't already guessed, it's a
SpongeBob.
Whoa,
episode.
the transition!
Personally, I don't believe that this is a true Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, so I'm not counting it as such. And aside from the really obvious problems, like too much screaming, there's also some really weird things in the episode, like the fact that Patrick has a window somehow under his rock. And it's not like there's any joke made out of it either. Also, apparently Squidward has a mirror over his bed, which I don't even want to think about. Episode 80.
Okay, yeah, Dorothy, first episode with a SpongeBob transition. So that's pretty cool. I don't think that really boosts the episode, but, like, I love doing the SpongeBob transitions. I love doing a lot of the visual effect type stuff. I was never great at it, but, you know, I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you for the super chat. Someone who's AP and then a bunch of Greek letters. Would I be interested in talking about Dan Schneider shows again, like Drake and Josh or the new iCarly? I don't know. I think with my return, I'm trying to keep a pretty open mind in terms of what I'm covering. I am using these live streams to kind of gauge what a lot of my fan base, you guys, want to see. You know, I kind of came back with the idea of, like, cool, these live streams will put the final nail in me covering SpongeBob. And in the course of doing these, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should make more SpongeBob videos. So I don't know. I'm trying to not really commit too hard to anything. Again, I've been working on a Fiona and Cake video. That much I can tell you. And otherwise, yeah, trying to leave it open here. Fun fact, Mark Hamill forgot he did this episode when doing Search for SquarePants. Also, welcome back, Pie Guy. Don't know if you remember me. Oh, hey, Pete. How you doing? Yeah, I do. Yeah, so Mark Hamill was the Flying Dutchman in that latest SpongeBob movie, I believe. I did not see it, no. But this is one of my favorite transitions, not gonna lie. The splat is really satisfying to watch. Yeah. And thank you for the super chat, Mr. Potilio Gattidio. How do you feel about Butch Hartman introducing your kid to Game of Thrones on Oaxis? Oh, man. Is Oaxis out, guys? Should I go follow it now? Should I subscribe? Oh, man. Okay. So this review was okay. I feel like I was a little overdramatic. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't remember Nightlight. I have no idea what it is. Maybe, perhaps Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy showing up at the end was like a good twist. Maybe, like, stupid past me was like, oh, why are they here? When the joke is that they come out of nowhere. I'm not really sure. But I guess I do remember feeling at the time that it just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know. What do you guys think? B tier, D tier, C tier, not an A tier review, and not, I don't think a SpongeBob review, but thank you, Trey. What is your favorite planet in the solar system? The Earth, because you guys are on it. D tier, C tier. All right, we can average it out to a C. I don't know. Have these reviews been better than the season 4 ones? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'll have to keep going.
3A, Rise and Shine. Patrick has an interesting morning. This is the first of our shorts for the season, and the fourth overall behind Help Wanted, Reef Blower, and Gary Takes a Bath. So this episode is the first episode that really stars Patrick on his own. You have episodes like Patrick Smart Pants and Rule of Dumb that are from his perspective mostly, but in those episodes he has SpongeBob and other characters to bounce off of. This is the first episode where he is primarily by himself, and he proves that this is a terrible, terrible idea. Because apparently the only jokes you can tell with Patrick is that, he's stupid. And that's pretty much all this episode is. Patrick being stupid in the morning, set to the wonderful tune of an alarm clock going on throughout the entire short. And that's what really gets me. Without the alarm clock, this episode would have just been pointless and kind of dull, probably gotten a...
I don't know that I love using the word pointless, because it's like, well, what is the point of any of these episodes, right? It's does it entertain you or not? You know, it's like saying, like, this episode didn't have to happen. It's like, well, I don't know, none of these episodes have to happen. I think I could have just said that there's just nothing going on in the episode, which I do.
But the fact that the alarm clock goes on throughout the entire thing, like a constant ringing in your ears of how stupid this all is, it just really pushes
all that
already tedious
noise
right into the depths of
Scumball.
The only thing I kind of like is how Patrick actually ends up getting ready. But it's a really short sequence and it's not that great. But if Rise and Shine wasn't tedious enough for you, the very next short is episode 83B.
Alright, I thought that was a pretty good review, though, other than the pointless thing. I think I gave it about as much time as it needed. The fact that it's a short, I think, makes it okay that it's a shorter review. I think I'd maybe put that in the B tier. I think that was, again, nothing great, but it's fine. It's fine. I do like that I put the alarm clock as the indicator of, like, how long the short is. I guess I didn't really explain that. Maybe that was obvious. I don't know. Maybe not everything needs to be over-explained. I don't find the alarm clock annoying, and thought the short was meh. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Waiting is a short, yet the first time I watched the episode, it felt longer than Atlantis SquarePants, and it was excruciatingly boring. Yeah. Favorite 21 Pilots song? I don't even think I can pick one singular favorite, but Migraine and Car Radio are those were the songs that really hooked me on the band. All right, let's get to waiting. Here we go. You've all been waiting. You've all been waiting for waiting.
SpongeBob waits for a toy to come in the mail. This short is honestly one of the most infuriating things I have ever seen. It checks off the boxes on everything that makes a SpongeBob episode bad, outside of maybe some gross out thing. It has SpongeBob laughing excessively. It has SpongeBob acting like a jerk to Sandy and Patrick. It has SpongeBob crying excessively. It has things that don't make sense, like apparently SpongeBob missed his surprise birthday party that happened 5 seconds off screen, and obvious jokes like Patrick eating the cake. It has the fact that the episode just barely even bothers with the plot or any sort of gags. This thing is awful on so many levels, and it's a short. I never thought a short episode could possibly make me so frustrated and angry, but it does. You don't want to watch it. You never want to see this episode come on. It is so tedious and boring and annoying and frustrating. The best part of the episode is the fact that Squidward appears in it and nothing horrible and unfair happens to him. Aside from having to put up with SpongeBob, of course. That's the highlight, the fact that something didn't happen. That's pretty bad. Do I even need to say it's a
Scumball?
The entire episode can just be summed up as SpongeBob refuses to have a plot. He literally stands there waiting for this toy, and anytime something remotely interesting seems like it's gonna happen,
yeah, maybe
like
it is.
Patrick comes up to him and tries to start a plot,
I don't know.
SpongeBob just absolutely denies it. It's just a really bad episode on multiple accounts, and I'm pretty sure the only reason that nothing disgusting happens here is because they were saving it all up for the very next episode. Episode 83C.
All right. Is waiting controversial now? Do some people really like it? I can't really speak to it even in memory because my memory of it is just SpongeBob and Patrick standing there, you know? But is that true to like how boring it actually is? I don't know because it's just a memory. S tier review, D tier review, B or A. I like the red eyes when you get angry. I don't know. Was that like justified frustration there, or was that a little bit overdramatic? A little tough to say. The you never want to watch this episode was a bit too much, but overall it was pretty good. All right, I think I could. I think I could do. I think I could do B tier review. Yeah, I think it was maybe a hair too melodramatic, a little bit over the line, but otherwise I think I explained pretty well the problem with it. I think also it's just these episodes that they are clearly trying to defy expectation, right? Like, I guess Nightlight as well. I don't know. It's there's I don't want to say a twist, but like the idea is that we're gonna play with the idea of like doing what an episode is, right? Like, do Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy show up randomly at the end? Like, sure. Is the plot of Waiting going to be about us waiting for a storyline to actually start? Like, every time you think there's gonna be one, if there isn't one. Yeah, like, and those sorts of things. That sort of idea is one of those like love it or hate it type things. I think when I was younger, I kind of saw those sorts of things as just, oh, you're just wasting the audience's time. Now that I'm older, I'm a little more receptive to it, but it also can be done wrong very easily. Yeah, you know, as a certain Star Wars film that is contentious would have you believe, just because something defies expectations does not automatically make it good. You have to still put something good in the place of those defied expectations. Thank you for the super chat, Epic Gamer. Did you hear that Butch Hartman tried to get Nick to greenlight a Fairly Odd Parents SpongeBob crossover, but Nick said no? He apparently said Steven was okay with it. Wow. I mean, I don't really trust a word out of Butch Hartman's mouth, but if any of that's even remotely true, that's pretty interesting. Okay, we don't need to start arguing about The Last Jedi. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to bring out the Star Wars people. I'm sorry. Okay. You re-reviewed the infamous 83 as Spongy Bits. Yeah, I sure did. That video did pretty well for a Spongy Bits. I think it was like 80,000 views or something. And yeah, as it turns out, if you like come up with like a catchy name for something, like the infamous 83 trilogy, that just gets people interested. So I opened up a can of space worms. I sure did. I'm so sorry. Let's hey, how about we distract from that with a different meme thing?
Fungus Among Us.
Among Us!
A disgusting fungus covers SpongeBob and Bikini Bottom. Yeah. This is, in my opinion, the first true, full-on, gross-out episode. That's all the entirety of the episode is. People eating disgusting fungus, people scratching disgusting fungus, SpongeBob getting mutilated by this disgusting fungus.
Is disgusting the new absolutely hilarious? Is that my new word here? Thank you for the super chat. Taz, I'm happy you've returned to YouTube Pie Guy. I hope you're well. Did Mr. Enter contact you to collab in Truth or Square, or the other way around? Honestly, I don't even remember. I feel like I should remember that. I have no idea. Also, I think I did miss his super chat. Did I? I did. Sorry, I will go back and read that one. I honestly don't remember. I think I maybe reached out to him, but I could be wrong. It's over like 10 years ago at this point. Thank you for the super chat, Balthazar. I was introduced to your channel around 2015 from a Nathaniel Bandy collab, who also did a SpongeBob ranking vid. Are you in touch with him at all? Not really. Nothing happened. Like, I still consider us friends, but we don't really talk all that much. Would you react to your old Spongy Bits reviews? Probably not. This is already pretty self-indulgent, you know? Like, I feel like doing all of these seasons is enough. I don't think I really need to do a bunch of the spin-off videos, too. Thank you, Pran. The fungus is actually a real-life thing. I believe that. I hate fungus. Have I ever mentioned that I hate mushrooms? I don't know if I've ever said that. I do not like the smell of mushrooms. I do not like mushrooms in the grass. I do not like eating mushrooms. The only thing I can tolerate mushrooms in is as like a glaze, like a background flavor on a steak, or in what's that soup, like clear soup or something like that. But I generally do not like mushrooms. I do not like them, Sam. I am. Would I smoke them? No, I don't like. I'm not into that kind of mushroom either.
all it is. It's enough to make you really itchy, and there's nothing even close to any sort of jokes being told, unless you think this disgustingness throughout the entire episode, this complete lack of understanding of how the gross out works on this show is funny. If you think this is funny, then fine, you must think this episode is hilarious. But for the rest of us, this episode is just skin-crawlingly disgusting. And
alright, no, this is a SpongeBob review. I'm sorry. Look, I'm sure it is gross in the episode, but like this is just way overblown. It's an episode of SpongeBob, Pie Guy. Calm down. Just calm down. It can't be that gross. It can't be that gross, right? Should I look up a clip real quick? You guys like the review? Let's see. Fungus Among Us SpongeBob. I'm just gonna get a bunch of Among Us SpongeBob, right? Let's see. Okay, I'm looking. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's gross. It is gross, but it's I don't know that it needs that much use of the word disgusting. Okay, all right. The itching's a little much. All right, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, then you know what? I think I was only exaggerating a bit, but I still think this is too dramatic. Put it in D tier. All right, we can put it in D tier. I think the problem I have with reviews like this too, it's not just it's not just how overblown it is. It's just like I have one problem with the episode, really, like in Fungus Among Us, really. And I stretched that out to be this long because I'm trying to come up with things to say. And it's like, really, if all I have to say is like, it's just gross, like there's nothing else to say, then maybe that should just be the review, right? Or I could talk about the story a little bit or something else, you know? I also don't like my, like, if you think this is funny, I guess you think it's hilarious. Like, that seems judgy. I don't want to judge people that have different opinions about SpongeBob. Alright.
Inspirited.
There hasn't been a Meh review yet. Interesting.
SpongeBob, I feel really bad for him in this episode. They go way too far with the SWAT team and all that stuff. The way he's hooked up to all those machines, it's just really disturbing. And not in any sort of good way. The plot structure feels a lot like Once Bitten, with the foreshadowing in Gary early on, except instead of it being a fake epidemic, this time it's real and really gross. Also, unlike that episode, Mr. Krabs somehow ends up on top. I don't know why they felt the need to throw that in at the end, seeing as he really didn't have too much to do with the episode. They just had to throw one more
moment at the
end of the episode.
And
the entire thing's really inconsistent. Sometimes the characters can see the scum, other times they can't, no matter how obvious it is. I think there may have been a miscommunication between the animators and the writers, because Squidward acts as if SpongeBob has a skin disease, but really, it's just scum on the top of his body, right? It's not actually a part of his skin. I mean, you'd notice that if that was actually his skin, and Squidward somehow notices this as soon as he sees SpongeBob's disease-covered nose and not the rest of his body that's disease-covered, and yet he doesn't also notice all of the scum he spread all over the patties and all of the customers. It's really weird and inconsistent.
Okay, I guess I do say more than just one thing. That's fair. You know what? We'll keep it in D tier. I have some alright things, but no, I still don't like me kind of judging other people for not liking the episode or for liking the episode or whatever. Thank you for the super chat, Taz. I think you and Enter had great chemistry. I love many bits, like when you complained about the Squidward sleeping montage and the Rolodex footage. Well, thank you. Low C tier? I'm not doing high and low on here. It's just gonna be what it is because this is way too much to organize, but keep it in D for disgusting. Alright.
Stupid way. This is what happens when the writers decide to disgust instead of amuse. There is no edge of satire to any of this. There's no comedy anywhere to be seen. It's just disgusting all the time. And perhaps the most appropriate episode to
How many times do I say disgusting?
Episode. So yes, all 3 episodes in the 22-minute package were absolutely terrible. And the only benefit to having the shorts here were that you got 3 SpongeBob episodes for the price of 2, which makes this a wonderful deal if you're trying to collect all terrible episodes of SpongeBob on iTunes. Episode 84.
Oh, an iTunes reference. Wow. Remember iTunes? Oh, gosh. All right. Well, yeah. it is true, man. There really weren't a lot of meh episodes, and I think that tracks with how I feel about season 5. Is just that like there's some great stuff and some utter garbo. 2014.
Spy Buddies, or Spy Bob as iTunes likes to call it. SpongeBob and Patrick
more
spy
iTunes references. I did. Yeah, I did. I do own the first 4 seasons on DVD, and I recently saw they came out with like a thing of like the first 300 episodes or 200 episodes or something. I thought that was kind of interesting release, but I also got these episodes on iTunes just because it was a lot easier for me to kind of scroll through to like reference things, you know. Don't you need iTunes to still use iPhone? No, they've moved away from that branding.
Plankton. So this entire episode is a big send-up to James Bond, as well as anything else in the spy genre. And I can honestly say I've never seen a single James Bond movie, but I still get a lot of the references in here, and I still think the episode does a great job of parodying the genre as a whole, while not going with obscure references that people aren't going to get unless they've seen the movies. And not only does the episode get a lot of the spy parody right, it is also actually really funny, and it tells a great story with an awesome twist ending. See, the twist ending makes sense here because why would Plankton be shopping for baby clothes unless it was really Mr. Krabs in disguise trying to humiliate him? Likewise, why was Krabs looking like Plankton in the opening scenes in his shadow? It makes sense because it actually is Plankton maybe before he donned the disguise of Mr. Krabs. Oh, and it has a really cool action climax set piece with the balloon and Mr. Krabs, well, Plankton Mr. Krabs, shooting all the customers up at it. It's really cool, so this episode gets pretty much everything right. It's a decent parody, it's got good action scenes, it's funny, and it's got a clever twist. It's definitely a good episode. And hey, we even get another Crabborg cameo, and this time it actually makes sense.
Crabborg. No, I thought that was a good review. I thought that was a very good review. I have, S tier? Ooh. Alright, you know what? Let's do it. First S tier. Here we go. Boom. You know, it was just a solid review. I said what I needed to say. Yeah. And since then, I have seen a James Bond movie. I saw the one that came out that was like delayed because of COVID. I don't even remember what it was called. It was all right. It had Rami Malek in it. S for Spy Buddies, or Spy Bob. Thank you, Pran, for the super chat. In the highlight for Fungus, what do you mean by Patrick dancing? I don't know. I don't remember the episode. I don't know. All right. Oh, No Time to Die. Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
84B.
Interesting choice. My friend is a big James Bond fan, and I just went to see it because he was seeing it. So, yeah.
Boat smarts. Squidward demonstrates good boat smarts, while SpongeBob demonstrates bad boat smarts. The entire thing is a parody of those old violent driving scare tactics videos they used to show to people. It's kind of obvious this episode is trying to catch on to the success of the Krusty Krab training video, but there are a number of things that are really wrong with this episode. First of all, the fact that it punishes Squidward for actually being a good driver. Second of all, the fact that it does this, all while actually teaching you decent driving tips. These aren't some wacky fantasy, boatmobile things. No, these are actually things that you want to do in an actual car, like buckling your seatbelt. When an episode punishes a character for having their seatbelt buckled, there's something incredibly wrong with that. Secondly, the way SpongeBob is portrayed throughout the entire thing. Yes, he's always been a bad driver, but he's never been ignorantly attacking other people on the road. He's never been so distracted by other things. He's not this kind of bad driver. He's always been equipped, technically speaking. He's just
I don't know. I don't know. I think that might be a true statement for the first boating school episode, but I'm not really sure that holds.
Actually pull it off. And to see SpongeBob so ignorant of violently crashing into everyone around him and harming everyone is really off-putting. The only thing I liked in this episode was the crash test dummy Squidward. That actually did get a hearty laugh out of me. But everything else is wrong on a lot of different levels and really bad. The episode is definitely a scumbag. And if you want to see a much better version of this type of thing, check out the Rocko's Modern Life episode Skidmark and their Rules of the Road. It's a much funnier parody.
That is true. That is a great parody. Thank you for the super chat, Taz. Here comes the Squidward Death Machine episode. For some reason, I keep saying definitely SpongeBob or like definitely something, but you guys don't like this review. It does seem like I'm taking it a little too seriously. I don't know. I don't love. I don't love the idea that Squidward just automatically needs to be punished, but at the same time, like I guess it's not that different from oh gosh, the second episode, the reef blower, something like that where I don't know. I again, I haven't seen this episode in a long time, but what I can say is that like I guess if the show just because it's a short, it wants to use it as a shorthand that like just Squidward needs SpongeBob's doing wacky stuff, and Squidward's gonna be the butt of a joke, and you understand that because you've seen other episodes of SpongeBob, so you know that Squidward roughly deserves it or whatever. I think that's fine. Yeah, this is probably not a great review. I could probably put it in D. I don't really know how I feel about Boat Smarts today, but it does seem like I took it like a little too seriously. Thank you, ya boy Brendo. Haven't seen you since I was a child. Welcome back. Well, thank you. And thank you, OJ Diesel. Hey, yo, Pie Guy. IMO Season 5 was the last good season. Honestly, very fair opinion. I think that's very reasonable. Very reasonable stuff. What do you mean? You don't go back and rewatch Boat Smarts all the time? Yeah, normal Tuesday night for me. I take out the trash, I brush my teeth, I get in my jammies, and I watch Boat Smarts. That's my bedtime routine on Tuesdays. Oh gosh, I think I saw CDCB or someone. Yeah, no, CDCB said this episode was remade recently. Like the premise was remade, or just like, Somebody forgot their Boat Smarts. All right. Yellow Pavement. Interesting. They made an entire episode in season 13 with the same boating school instruction video premise. Interesting. I mean, it's a good idea for a premise. Like, I think fair enough. But, yeah, you guys know how I feel about reusing ideas. All right.
So, A4C. Good old what's-his-name. Squidward tries to learn all the names of the customers to win a prize. It's amazing that this is a 7-minute episode because it really feels like a 4-minute episode. There's a lot of padding here and not much story at all. In fact, the main plot of the episode doesn't even feel like it's happening. There's supposed to be this competition between Squidward and SpongeBob in order to say all the customers' names, but really only Squidward is trying. SpongeBob's just kind of naming all these people. He's not really fiercely competing with Squidward, he just kind of seems to be going around saying hi to everyone like SpongeBob would usually do. There's no competition, there's no friction, there's no threat that Squidward is going to lose, especially after everyone but What's It To Ya has been named. SpongeBob doesn't even try. He's not chasing after Squidward in the wallet, he's just given up at that point, I guess. He doesn't seem to even care about the prize, which makes Squidward going crazy seem very extreme and out of nowhere. We've seen Squid go nuts before, but it takes quite a lot for him to get to that point. Not about a minute or two of him not being able to guess some guy's name. And for what, an ocean liner vacation? Yeah, that sounds like something Squidward would like, but at this point he should really know that Mr. Krabs is never gonna pay for that sort of thing, and that some sort of trickery was a...
Alright, Pie Guy, come on. You can't say that the characters should know that the other characters are scheming. It's not that kind of show. It's not that kind of show. I want Squidward to turn to the audience and be like, this would be a great opportunity for me, but that Mr. Krabs, he's really burned me before. Remember episode 16F where he promised me a boating trip and he took me to go fishing with SpongeBob? I don't know. I feel like in a lot of these reviews, you are taking what is meant to be a silly or funny plot and taking it too seriously and calling it bad. Yes, I think that's fair. I think that's honestly a fair criticism, and I think this is something that I don't like. I don't like when other people do it, and I don't like when I do it. Just this idea of, like look, you have to meet an episode where it is. If something is not a funny joke, or if something is a joke and it really is harming the episode or whatever, you feel like the joke is harming the story, then that's fine. But at the same time, you have to recognize it's a joke. You have to say, like, look, this is a joke. It's supposed to be exaggerated for comedy. I feel it didn't hit for X, Y, and Z reasons. I feel like that's fine. But this whole it comes across as like Pie Guy missing the joke, you know?
Foot. Also, they keep calling it an ocean liner, which doesn't really make sense seeing as they're under the water. Nothing in this episode made me laugh or even came close. Squidward muttering was mildly amusing. Also, that punishment at the end is way too severe, especially with Patrick being there. Also, both What's It To Ya's name and the brochure being the prize are two twists in the episode that are both kind of predictable and use the same kind of wordplay. You can get away with maybe one of those in an episode, but having both of them back to back really just kind of feels cheap. It's certainly not the worst episode, but just everything here feels wrong. And for that, it's a SpongeBob episode. Oh, and What's It To Ya doesn't even make any sense, because the way he says it to Squidward the first time he asks is in a very aggressive and angry tone. Who says their name like that? Squidward wasn't even bothering him until he asked him again. Yikes, there's been a lot of SpongeBob episodes, and we're not that far into the season. Episode 8.
Season 5 is Pie Guy's angst era. Yeah, I mean, like it or not, whatever was going on in my life, / whatever was going on with, like, SpongeBob discourse at the time, does reflect upon these reviews, you know? We try to kind of see things in a vacuum when we can, but if a lot of people were talking about mean-spiritedness or whatever, like, obviously I'm going to that either play into that or say, like, well, I don't agree with that in the review. So... yeah, I don't think that was a great review. I think we could put that in SpongeBob. I don't know if my opinion on that episode has changed at all. I have no idea, but I feel like it was just a little too whoosh, I guess. Again, if I just didn't like the joke, that's fine, but, you know. Clams is episode 16F. Yeah! Thank you for the super chat. Madeline. I can't wait for you to get to SpongeBob's Last Stand, Season 7. You absolutely tear its environmental messages to shreds and then give it a meh. Oh boy, oh boy. I know everyone's excited for the Atlanta SquarePants review, and I know everyone's excited for the Choir Boys review, but I'm glad people are excited for other ones too. All right, let's keep going.
85A, New Digs. SpongeBob moves into the Krusty Krab so he'll never be late again.
Are you being serious talking about an episode where Squidward has a heart attack? Is that real, or are you guys messing with me again? Thank you, Taz. I can't wait for a la mode where you get so excited. Oh yeah, that's coming up too.
Very torn on this episode. It's definitely far from a SpongeBob. It doesn't do anything horrible, but at the same time, it's not that funny. There's not really any laugh-out-loud moments or any memorable dialogue or anything like that, but some of the visual gags are interesting, and it's a fun story of escalation. And none of the characters feel out of character. I was very close to giving this a meh, but no, it's a good episode. The plot's a lot of fun, and other than being not particularly funny, there's not really anything bad I have to say about it. My favorite of all the gags with SpongeBob being moved in is when he shaves Patrick's hair and it all comes onto Squidward's face in a really strange fashion. The only other thing to note is the fact that SpongeBob drinks snail milk, which is the equivalent of drinking cat milk. I don't know if that's a thing, but if it is, gross. Episode 9.
Okay, I think that might have been a B tier review. I don't say a whole lot, but I feel like I say just enough, and I think I got the point across that it's not a very memorable or happening episode, but there's a few things in there that are enjoyable enough to save it from the meh. You know what? We'll give it an A tier. Why not? We'll even pop it up into an A tier. Here we go.
85B, Krabs a la mode. Plankton freezes the Krusty Krab in another attempt to steal a Krabby Patty. This episode is fantastic. I could not sing enough praise for this one episode. It is so wonderful. Every single thing in this episode is absolutely right. It's funny, it's got good action, every character in it seems in character and finds an awesome role in this new frozen wonderland. It's zany, it's wacky, it's fun. The name is based off of a type of pie. I mean, what else would you ever want in a SpongeBob episode? And from start to finish, it just feels like an action-packed, comedy-packed, fun ride. The episode keeps the energy up throughout the entire thing. There are no low points in this episode. It's certainly one of the best post-movie episodes I've seen so far, and can definitely compete with the pre-movie seasons. Even the animation looks great. All the characters are constantly in motion, and the frozen background looks great. Heck, the characters even have a shadow on the ice that looks really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a good episode, but I think even that might be an understatement. Episode 86.
That's a good review. I think this might be an A tier. I don't think it was an S tier review. I think the episode might be an S tier, but yeah, I what I didn't like is it's zany, it's wacky. Pie Guy, those are synonyms. You can't just say synonyms. I'm glad I found the thesaurus finally, but you know, gosh, yeah, like I was a little redundant, but I still feel like I hit on like the good things within the episode and really emphasize how much I liked it without going, you know, overboard with the gushing.
A. Roller cowards. SpongeBob and Patrick try to avoid going on a roller coaster they think each other wants to ride. So the plot of this episode is actually really clever in that both SpongeBob and Patrick are afraid to go on the ride, but neither of them knows each other is afraid. So there's tension in the episode because they both want to go on the ride to impress the other person and to support the other person. It's a really nice display of their friendship, and it allows for there to be a lot of tension in this episode. That's what's really cool. You can feel it building. You can feel more and more pressure that they should go on this ride because the park is going to be closing, because the ride just shut down, because this or that. The episode definitely has a really nice build-up, and it ultimately makes you wonder, are they going to end up going on this ride? Also, there's some nice fan service in here in the fact that this actually takes place at Glove World, which is something we haven't seen since Rock Bottom. So it's got a fantastic story for a SpongeBob episode, and it's got some nice fan service, but is it funny? Heck yes. There are a lot of funny moments in this episode, especially Larry's appearance, and it's notable that this is his only appearance in Season 5. His entire appearance serves to not only put pressure on SpongeBob and Patrick, but just be incredibly funny and strange. Also, SpongeBob having a conversation with an ice cream cone and Patrick having a conversation with the mirror, those parts are really funny. And there's a ton of other great lines in this and great little moments. Of course, this episode is a good episode. Episode 86B.
All right.
Bucket Sweep.
Before I get into why I put this in S tier, thank you for the super chat, Genderless Jeremy. First time catching one of these lives, just wanted to say I used to watch you back in middle school, and it's awesome to see you back. Well, thank you. It's awesome to be back. And thank you, Trav. Season 6 is gonna be fun to revisit. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah. So I thought that was actually a really good review. I think I emphasized why the episode is worth watching without like repeating myself. And yeah, honestly, the thing that I think is the most shining review of this review, like the most praise that I can give it, is that hearing me talk about it makes me want to go and rewatch the episode. You know, just hearing me discuss it is like, oh yeah, there was a lot of really cool things going on in this episode with a great premise. So, I think it's an S tier review. I don't know. What do you guys think? You do a great job of selling it. Yeah, I think for sure. It is very strange that Larry really only shows up in that one episode. That's a genuine good bit of trivia. S tier. All right. Yeah, I feel like season 6 was probably my best video, but I don't know how much of that is just I put my heart and soul into that, and also season 6 of SpongeBob gave me everything to work with, everything that could possibly, you know, in terms of just a really rough season. All right.
Bucket. Plankton gets SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward to do menial labor. So, this episode is, in my opinion, one of the most forgettable and dull episodes that exist. And I don't really even mean that as too much of an insult, because the episode has a few amusing moments, and that exposition joke really makes me laugh out loud. But everything else is just so bland. It's just so forgettable. It blends in with every other Plankton episode out there, and so many of them are so much better than this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not.
Can someone refresh my brains on this? Is this like Plankton gets SpongeBob to paint his bucket or something? I guess to my point in the review, I don't remember. Oh my goodness, Trav, thank you so much. You don't have to do that, but thank you. You know what? I just want to do this for all the enjoyment you provided in my younger years, and having you back has been a treat. So shut up and take my money. Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I genuinely, from everyone, not just people super chatting, but everyone that's been here in this stream or the previous ones, thank you. You have made me feel more welcomed back here than I could ever feel, and I do genuinely mean it when I say that you guys have made me more interested in wanting to watch and review SpongeBob again, or just wow. Okay, so to take a detour for a second. Here. I was doing a lot of reflecting on my time on YouTube and a lot of the negative things that kind of got me down about it. And I've come to realize that I just kind of invited a lot of the controversy on myself. You know, there were a lot of times when I had people, messaging me on Twitter and commenting and saying things that were Pie Guy, you got to comment on this, or what do you think about this situation, or you worked with this person and they're problematic. What are you going to do about it? There were a lot of times when that stuff happened and I just let it get to me. I cared too much, right? I didn't want anyone to not like me, that I gave in, and I wanted to respond to all those people, and I wanted to, correct, right, any mistakes or miscommunications, misunderstandings people had. But I've realized now that there's just no point. I shouldn't have done it. I should engage with the people that have been good and kind and are engaging in good faith and aren't engaging in weird internet mob tactics. When I tune all that out, when I don't have a Twitter and I don't Google my name or whatever, if I just stick with making content, hanging out with you guys in live streams or on community posts or whatever, everything's great. Everything's happy. Everything's fun. This is the fun part of all of it, and I should never have let the negative stuff get to me. But thank you, Trav, and thank you all of you guys. I really this means a lot. Okay, all right. Sorry for having some emotion there. I'm not really sorry for that. It's just it's just true, and I've gone over it a lot. I'm not trying to relitigate it, but having a bunch of people think that I was genuinely out to get people that worked on the SpongeBob staff or Camp Coral staff, or that I was trying to insult the creator of this beloved show who had passed away from a horrible disease. Seeing a lot of the negativity around that, it got to me in a way that I'd never let anything get to me before, and it crushed me. It crushed my soul, and I never should have let it. I just never. There's always going to be disingenuous people on the internet. Whether you think I handled it okay or not okay, or should have never made the video or whatever. My point was always just to honor the person that made this wonderful show, and I never tried to hurt anyone or make anyone feel bad, and I just... Anyway, thank you for the super chat. Wins. Season 5 is one of those seasons that's 50-50 most of the time. Either you get a great episode or a terrible one. Love these reviews, by the way. Oh yeah, that's totally true. Thank you for the super chat, Taz. I didn't enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think it's overrated, overhyped, and I'm annoyed at its popularity. I thought the writing and tone was off, and I didn't enjoy Zuko. I'm sorry, no offense for the fans of it. Wow. Listen, that's a different opinion for sure. I don't agree with it at all, but good on you for saying it. I've found that people are way too like afraid of having an unusual opinion on the internet. And I get it, because people really like come after you these days. If you say you didn't like something, people assume it's for some weird disingenuous reason, and it's just like we all have different tastes and we all have different opinions, and liking or not liking something doesn't make you a bad person. All right. Oh man, but Zuko? Zuko's the best. All right, anyway. Oh gosh. All right, let's continue on here.
A SpongeBob or anything like that, but it's certainly not good enough to be considered good. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like this episode or that consider it memorable, but I just don't. I watch it and then I completely forget what happens, and then I rewatch it and I'm like, oh, okay, well that happened. It was mildly amusing, but not something I'd ever explicitly go out and watch again. So yeah, this is a weird one. It's gonna go in the meh category. Episode 87.
Okay, I think that was a good review. I think I could put that in, like, B tier. I know we kind of interrupted the middle of it with a long spiel, but, I think that was, I think I kind of, I don't know, it's hard to give a meh, like, anything that gets a meh review, it's gonna be hard for it to get, like, an A or an S tier review, just because it's, like, you know what I mean? Like, generally meh is like, I don't have anything to say, or like it's okay but forgettable. Sometimes it's like it gets a meh because there's a lot of really strong good things and really strong bad things, and it neutrals out. Those reviews maybe could do better. But I feel like I did all right with this. Oh, hey, Tune for Thought. Thank you for the super chat. Pran, did you ever watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Of course I did. Of course. Loved PBS. I think there was someone else asking if I watched PBS shows when I was younger. I did, but I was very young and I don't like super remember. But I definitely watched like Arthur. I watched Cyber Chase, Mr. Rogers. Any of you guys watch Wishbone? I watched Wishbone. What was the story, Wishbone? Oh, you guys are all distracted with To Love a Patty. All right, let me put my To Love a Patty face on. Whoop.
Hey, To Love a Patty. SpongeBob starts dating a Krabby Patty. So there's a lot of things that are messed up about this episode. First and foremost, SpongeBob is dating a Krabby Patty. It's so creepy. It's so weird. And the fact that they actually go the route of making the patty get all disgusting is just really, gross. We've seen disgusting patties before, but never to this extent. Never with this many gross-up close-ups of a Krabby Patty.
Why did they do this? They go to this well so many times. Why is there so many episodes of this show where a Krabby Patty gets to, like utterly disgusting? Like, I'm not saying it's always horrible. It can work. Like, I like Nasty Patty, but, just, like, why does this keep happening? Can I put the SpongeBob face on? No, I only have the 3 faces currently. It's my favorite SpongeBob episode, the 3 faces of Pie Guy. So to give behind the scenes, I have a stream deck, the buttons, the buttons with the pictures on them. But I have the mini, so I only have six buttons. And one of them has to be the play pause button on the video, and then one of them is a back button to a folder with more stuff on it. So I only have like 3 open buttons for the PyCons right now. But I was considering getting a bigger stream deck if I'm gonna do this more often. I kind of like the one with the knobs, but it's a lot of money. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Anthony. You're a great creator, so here's a big fat hug from your biggest fan. Keep being a great human being. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Pran. I don't mind this one, but the clam murdering, wow.
In one episode. One that SpongeBob has romantic feelings for and keeps putting close to his...
You have a Steam Deck. I do have a Steam Deck, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is a Stream Deck with an R. The mini, I highly recommend the mini if you're not even if you're not a content creator. It's just fun to have a little thing with buttons, and I think it was $60, which is certainly not cheap, but like not crazy expensive for such a cool little macro button machine with little pictures on it.
Face. And aside from SpongeBob dating a Krabby Patty, I have a problem with SpongeBob dating, period. Hillenburg has always said that SpongeBob should never actually date anyone. He's just kind of a child. That's part of his charm. He's basically asexual. And that's perfectly fine and perfectly great. This show has more adult characters to do some romantic subplots with. There is no reason SpongeBob should be dating anyone. And I feel like this episode was just some sort of weird loophole of defiance to Hillenburg's original wishes.
Oh no! Oh no! No, Pie Guy, don't talk about Stephen Hillenburg's wishes, please.
Than either of those, SpongeBob murders clams. And for what? Because they try to eat his actually edible, disgusting-looking girlfriend? He outright rips one in half. And the first thing that's going to come to your mind is, what if this was the clam that SpongeBob and Patrick took care of in Rockabye Bye-Valve? What if he just ripped it in half, or punched it and shattered it? It's one thing to have SpongeBob pushing away these clams, maybe punching them, knocking them away, but he's actually shattering them, actually ripping them apart. It's really off-putting. And as if all that wasn't enough, SpongeBob sings a really weird love song, power ballady type thing, which is something that SpongeBob should never be singing. The song itself isn't the worst song. Trust me, there's a lot worse songs coming up this season, but it's still weird and just kind of annoying, and it goes on too long. There are a lot of things wrong with this episode. I hate it, and it is definitely a SpongeBob episode.
People think SpongeBob review, alright. I do go on a little bit long here. Wait, hang on, we gotta see the picture here.
Also, at one point, apparently Mr. Krabs loved a Krabby Patty, and then he ate her. Is that what happened to Pearl's mother? I know that sounds...
Oh, come on, that's a good joke. Come on, we can't say it's a SpongeBob.
Sounds like a ridiculous thing to be in a SpongeBob episode, but when you see everything else that happens in this episode, that starts to become a little bit more plausible. Episode 86.
Alright, I'm okay putting it in D tier. S tier for Pearl's mom joke. No, yeah, I think it's a D tier. It wasn't a great review. I just kind of harp on the same point, and like the clam murdering thing is, I don't like it in the episode. I think it is dumb, but I feel like I maybe go on a little bit too much and get a little melodramatic with what if it was SpongeBob's child. I think part of the issue, like part of the issue is just that this episode, it's just one note kind of. I mean, again, from what I remember, just that it's just one note. It's just the idea is that it is a disgusting Krabby Patty that keeps getting grosser and grosser, and and SpongeBob is in love with it. To be completely honest, like looking at it now, it is an interesting loophole, right? If you can't have SpongeBob be with some with a character, right? Romantically, if we're saying that's off the table, regardless of what Stephen Hillenburg says or doesn't say, I think the first like 3 or 4 seasons at this point would show you that they're not really interested in pairing SpongeBob up romantically outside of maybe like a gag. But if we're not going to do that, I kind of get it. Like, I get this idea of, like, well, let's take a third option. Let's make him have a romance, but it's just going to be the weirdest romance that you would ever imagine. So, like, yeah, like, I don't hate the premise, to be completely honest. I will be completely honest with you. If this premise was done better, if the joke wasn't just, it's a decaying Krabby Patty, if there was more to it than that, if it maybe played upon more like romantic comedy tropes or I don't know, if they did something with it, but the joke is that it's a Krabby Patty, it's not a person, it's a dang Krabby Patty. I think there could have been better things to it. I'm not, this is not me revisioning this episode to saying it's a great episode, but I do kind of feel like maybe it could have worked with better writing. I don't know. Anyway.
7B, Breath of Fresh Squidward. After being electrocuted, Squidward starts acting more like SpongeBob. So this episode starts off by doing something that you should never do in a SpongeBob episode. Remind me of a worse episode. Yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick are completely ignorant of Squidward being really annoyed while wearing strange hats and forcing Squidward eventually to get a security system. Sound familiar? Beyond that, the opening is just kind of weird.
I don't like this talk. This, like, it reminded me of something that a SpongeBob episode should never do. I don't like that. I don't like that it's repetitive from Good Neighbors, but I feel like the point of just like there are rules and SpongeBob should never do this. I don't agree with that like anymore. I feel like that's an old Pie Guy thing that's like, dude, like it's okay.
Apparently, at some point, Sandy taught SpongeBob about the 4th of July, too, because they celebrate that. I don't understand why they would. Also, for Valentine's Day, they kissed Squidward a bunch while he was sleeping. It's just really off-putting. I get what they're trying to set up here, but it doesn't work. Another misstep of the episode is that it mixes SpongeBob's personalities. This episode has both silly, goofy SpongeBob, as well as more mundane, more everyman SpongeBob. And you should never really do that. If you're gonna have an episode where he's super ignorant to the world around him and he hangs out with Patrick, then do that episode. If you're gonna have an episode where he is pretty much mild-mannered and the straight man to other people's antics, have that episode as well. But you never want to show both of those personalities because it starts to point out some of the hypocrisy of the character, which, ironically or not, is on full display here. The episode does bring up the double standard of SpongeBob annoying Squidward to no end, but the second Squidward starts to annoy SpongeBob, then it becomes a real crazy issue. And what's really, really obnoxious about this entire thing is SpongeBob's big breakdown at the end. See that quote there? That's delivered in the jerkiest SpongeBob voice there could ever be, and it's all so overblown. And you know what makes that 1,020,000 times worse than any time Squidward has yelled at SpongeBob? Because Squidward actually runs out of the room crying. SpongeBob, whenever Squidward yells at him...
What is this episode? I don't have much recollection of it. I mean, I know the premise. It's the one where Squidward acts like SpongeBob, but I don't remember like what. I don't know. I don't remember the details of this episode.
For extended periods of time, does not get anything through his thick skull. Even in the beginning of this episode, when he's talking about Squidward's happy gland and how Squidward can't be happy when they're around, he does it with a creepy smile on his face, as if he knows the story, but he doesn't understand the implications of the fact that he's causing Squidward depression. Heck, one of the few times Squidward actually thought he hurt SpongeBob's feelings for real, he spent the entire episode trying to apologize for it. And sure, SpongeBob apologizes a minute later, but his apology seems really forced, and this is after chasing the man out of a party dedicated to him. Before I go on any longer talking about all of this episode...
So is this like the opposite of Squidward, where like SpongeBob has a mini Squidward and out Squidward, and this one is him out SpongeBobbing SpongeBob?
And many flaws, I will call it right now a SpongeBob episode. This episode had potential in that it could have been like Patrick SmartPants, where it shows a character basically being the opposite of themselves, but even that is kind of messed up because Squidward comes off as really eerie. Like,
would I say my season 4 reviews are better than season 5 reviews? The opposite. Well, we're not really. We're still working on season 5 here, but judging by this, honestly, following in season 5 itself, it looks like my reviews are either like generally really good or pretty bad. There's kind of a lot. We put like 2 episodes in C tier. Otherwise, there's been a few in B and above and a few down here. I guess season 4 is a little bit like that too. I don't know. It seems like I'm taking this more seriously. In a good way and in a bad way. So I'm not sure. We'll have to keep seeing.
He doesn't seem to be himself at all. He doesn't have any sort of personality traits. He's just kind of copying SpongeBob. I don't understand what they were going for here, because he doesn't feel like he has a character or a personality in this episode. It actually kind of feels like he's copying SpongeBob in the episodes where SpongeBob really doesn't have much of a personality. Oh, and last but not least, this episode isn't funny at all. I don't even see where they're trying to attempt any jokes. I think they're actually meaning this as some sort of legitimate story. And for what it's worth, it is kind of enjoyable to see SpongeBob get annoyed by Squidward for once, but it's not executed well at all. This episode is definitely not one of the worst episodes, but it does have so many things wrong with it. It's just a mess.
I think this might be a C tier review, to be honest. I feel like I talk way too long. And it also seems like, again, I'm doing that thing where I take some things too seriously, but also it sounds like this is not a good episode. Like, I do feel like I've convinced myself that this is a pretty bad one. B tier, E tier. Actual analysis, C tier. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, we'll go C tier. All right.
Episode 88A, Money Talks. Mr. Krabs sells his soul to be able to talk to money. This episode features another SpongeBob song that just kind of feels off. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as a SpongeBob song could be. I'm not sure Mr. Krabs has the best singing voice for a character.
I mean, again, this is clearly, like, I think a little bit in season 4, right? Like, with storylines of, like, Plankton dating Mr. Krabs' mom, like you get that, but in season 5 especially, you can tell that the writers were like, let's just go weird with it. Let's go really, really weird with it. The fact that this episode where SpongeBob dates a Krabby Patty, Mr. Krabs sells his soul to talk to money, this big long trek to Atlantis with David Bowie, like, there's just a lot of very weird things in this season, and I think that's why it's very polarizing, because it's just like, when you go very weird, there's a chance that it could be, very memorable and interesting and different and whatever. There's a chance it also just, like, the audience just doesn't gel with it. It just doesn't vibe. And as I mentioned, I think last time we streamed, I am a lot more open and accepting of weirder ideas these days. I like episodes that break the mold. I mean, as you guys can see, as this series goes on, I get increasingly more bored with the like reused episode ideas. It's another Plankton episode where nothing, drastically different happens. So I do applaud the weirdness. I'm like, okay, I understand why we have to go weird with it. Doesn't always automatically work, obviously, but
hey, there's a much worse song where Mr. Krabs sings about money in just a few episodes. Anyway,
Man, yeah, I am hyping up that Atlanta SquarePants review.
This episode's plot. It's a classic be careful what you wish for thing where the wish turns out to be a horrible curse, and it's actually nice to see Mr. Krabs have to deal with his addiction to money in a very bizarre way. And although the ending is kind of dumb, Mr. Krabs kind of foreshadows it when he says, yeah, I've heard that one before, while signing away his soul. The money has some nice, funny, snarky lines, as well as Squidward and SpongeBob in this. SpongeBob stops by Mr. Krabs' house and asks him if he's gone insane, which is rather amusing, and I like the part where the Flying Dutchman throws magic dust into Mr. Krabs' eyes. So overall, the episode has a decent plot, especially for a 7-minute episode. It's kind of funny, and it's interesting. It's definitely something we've never seen before. It's not really that great or that memorable, but yeah, it's a good episode. Episode 88.
I like that review. I thought that the review was very nice. I feel like I appropriately sold what is a good, solid short that's not mind-blowing. What is the minimum percentage of good episodes a season has to be called good? I'm guessing 55-ish? What? oh, percentage. Sorry. I read that and I thought you meant like number of episodes. I'm like, yeah, there needs to be 55 good episodes in a 52 episode season. I mean, I don't know that it's an exact mathematical equation. I don't know. Probably, yeah. I think I had probably a minimum of 50% for sure. But probably more than that. A or B tier. Yeah, I feel like that was a nice A tier review. Decent episode, decent review. I don't believe you've genuinely reviewed Atlanta SquarePants in the video. You just said it was too much to say and moved on. Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out if my memory is off, but I'm pretty sure I gave it a more honest, like, earnest review in the top 5. Or, sorry, not the top 5, the bottom 5. I'm pretty sure I give it, like, not a super long one, but I give it a lot more of, like, this episode is blah, 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 blah. That was a Spongy Bits. You do talk about it at the end of the bottom 5. That's what Spongy Bits is for. Yeah, and I did do a Spongy Bits. And I mean, my song does review the episode, right? It's not like I'm just I don't know. Before we get to it, when we're about to get to it, I'm gonna see how much of the song I remember.
SpongeBob versus the Patty Gadget. SpongeBob squares off against a patty cooking machine. Now this is an episode that is really memorable. Before making this review, this was
Let's see, does Pie Guy remember it? Yes, I do, actually. This is pretty good. This is like, yeah, he fights this machine where they make Krabby Patties, and Yeah, that's the episode. 4 minutes.
Only short that really distinctly stuck out in my head. When you say SpongeBob short, this is what I think of. This is an amazing use of the format. It has some great rhyming, and what works about it is that it doesn't go on for too long here. It's got a really cool framing device of Patchy telling this tale, and much like Krabs a la mode, the episode has an energy to it. Also, I give this episode points for doing a gross-up close-up on Squidward's pimples without making the pimples look hideously repulsive. They're gross, but they're nothing compared to the great lengths this show, especially this season, will go to gross you out. It's a good short, it's a good story, It's a good episode. I'd also like to point out that this is the second episode in a row where they rhyme something with the P joke. Episode 88C.
I mean, I know it's a short episode. I feel like I could have sold this one a little better. I think this might be a C tier review. I don't think it's like a bad review, but I think that like, I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty memorable, unique episode, and I feel like I could have done something better with the review. Perhaps I could have made it rhyme or something. I don't know. I could have done more. But yeah.
Slimy Dancing. Squidward controls SpongeBob to enter a dance contest. While this episode isn't really a rip-off of anything, it takes a lot of elements from a lot of other episodes. Patrick getting a butt cramp, Squidward and SpongeBob being mashed together, Squidward's weird dancing, and I think that's the reason that this episode really does not stand out in my head at all. It's really disjointed, especially with that strange epilogue at the end. It was really out of place. It feels more like a Family Guy cutaway gag. It doesn't really fit with SpongeBob. I get the feeling that this was probably going to be a short episode, but then lengthened to be a full episode, and that's why that weird epilogue is thrown on there at the end. To its credit, the episode doesn't do anything wrong or heinous. The characters are acting relatively within how they usually act. Squidward's kind of a stuck-up snob like he is an artist unknown, and SpongeBob is just kind of along for the ride. But at the same time, there's not really anything funny in here, and it's just kind of meh. Episode 89.
I don't remember that episode at all. I think that might be another C tier review. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was that an okay review? I don't remember the episode. There's something dancing. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, again, I do feel justified in some of these mez, considering I can't remember anything about the episode. I assume there was some waxing sequence based upon the picture I chose, although, man, that was certainly a choice. C for cramp. The epilogue is funny. I don't remember what happens in it. A D for dance? I think it's a D. There's some parts of the story I kind of skipped over. All right, I'll trust you guys on this one. We go D. We go D for dance. Oh boy, the Krusty Sponge.
A. The Krusty Sponge. Mr. Krabs starts marketing SpongeBob. Oh, how I've wanted to talk about this episode for some time, because it is really interesting. I don't know if this was intentional, but if it wasn't, it has to have been some sort of subconscious effort on the writers. This episode is...
It's intentional, by God. It's intentional.
Pretty much a parody of the way Nickelodeon treats marketing SpongeBob by slapping his face on literally everything, by changing their network from Nickelodeon into pretty much the Sponge Network. The entire thing is a brilliant allegory. Look at that quote over there. I wonder if that's what the people behind SpongeBob actually thinks about critics, or are they actually as terrified as Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob?
I don't know that anyone on the... Well, actually, I would say that I don't know that anyone on the show cared. Back when this review happened, I don't think anyone on the show cared about what weirdos on the internet had to say about SpongeBob. But now I feel like the show has gone on so long that people that grew up on the internet now are making SpongeBob, and I'm not like claiming that they've seen my videos or whatever, but we know they've at least seen the Nostalgia Critic, right?
Even outside of that satire stuff, there's some good jokes here. Like the newscasters and the critic on TV have some funny chemistry. I like Squidward stuck in the SpongeBob costume. I like Mr. Krabs getting into increasingly more awkward positions with his money. It's a good episode, and I have a bunch of other random comments to make. First of all, the title card for this involves a plate that is Krusty, even though the Krusty Plate isn't this episode, but an episode coming up. I feel like maybe they accidentally switched the episode title.
No way. Thank you, DDD. Gene Shalit is still alive and turned 100 a few weeks ago, last month. That's crazy. Good for him.
Card backgrounds somehow, because it really doesn't make any sense that it would be this plate that's Krusty on this episode called the Krusty Sponge. This episode actually makes a dead kitten joke. It's blink and you miss it, but it's there, and it's actually kind of funny. The parody of Squidward being in the SpongeBob suit is also spot on for all of those people that have to be in those theme park costumes, because the way the costumes are designed, you don't have much movement.
Alright, this is Pie Guy random tangenting a little bit.
People are always being accused of accidentally hitting someone or touching someone inappropriately, when really, they don't have much control over the costume. SpongeBob really shouldn't be judging Mr. Krabs for dating money, considering what he did a few episodes ago. Also, in this episode, it's actually not painted meat. This time, it is tainted meat. The critic says Mr. Krabs' name is Eugene A. Krabs. You have to listen to it back a few times, but he's definitely saying A instead of H like it should be. And lastly, I feel really bad for Squidward at the ending. Throughout the entire episode, he's gotta go through all this sort of stuff in the SpongeBob suit, but it's pretty much kept funny and not in any mean-spirited way. But at the end, yeah, Mr. Krabs should have been the one taking the punishment for this entire plot. Episode 89B. Sing a song.
Yeah, I feel like, I think that review, it gets a C. I like that I point out the commentary of it all. But at the same time, I just spout off a bunch of kind of random stuff that, like, I don't know. I guess it was interesting to me at the time. I don't really think it's interesting now. Say it's a B. I don't know, but maybe you guys enjoyed my weird random tangents. At least it didn't take up too much time. So maybe we could throw it in a B. I don't know. Yappuccino. Alright, we'll keep it and see. We'll keep it and see. All right, sing a song of Patrick.
Song of Patrick. Patrick writes a song that everyone hates. This is another interesting episode to talk about because I've personally known people in my life who have said it's the worst episode of the season, and I've also known people who love this episode and swear that it's the only thing worth watching after the movie. Where do I stand on this? I think it's actually kind of in the middle. Yeah, it's a meh episode. There are some jokes in here that I really like. Squidward's cameo when Patrick is trying to think, or some of the reactions to Patrick's music. Those are some really good jokes in there, but there's also Patrick being really annoyingly, mean-spiritedly a jerk.
Oh,
the entire opening at the comic book just represents a lot of the things that I hate.
At the comic book? Do you mean the comic book shop? The comic book store? Or just at the comic book?
About new Patrick. He eats a comic book for no reason. He steals $100 from SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is actually visibly upset by this, but Patrick can't be bothered to even recognize this. And then later on in the episode, Patrick randomly makes SpongeBob carry him up the tower. There's not really even a joke about it other than the fact that Patrick is really needy and SpongeBob is a doormat. The song itself is actually kind of brilliant, in that you can understand why the people of Bikini Bottom would really hate this song, yet the audience watching SpongeBob, i.e. us, don't have to be subjected to something that is actually that bad. It's a little bit annoying, but it's not terribly bad, and definitely not the worst song of the season, but we'll get to that. Anyway.
Thank you for the super chat, Taz. The song's so funny. You win this round, broccoli. Yeah. Yeah, no, the song is great. Like, there is no denying that on paper, the song is really dumb and shouldn't work, but then you listen to it and you're like, all right, this is like, that song is basically the internet at this point. When did this air? This was 2007. Yeah. I mean that was the internet humor of the time for sure. Was lol random, but like this actually works, and I don't know if it holds up, but like in my memory it holds up.
I'm amazed that they got away with having a plane crash into a building in this episode.
Ew.
Not that I have any problem with them showing that, but you know that someone somewhere is offended by it.
Why are you so angry, dude? That was a very serious, horrible thing that happened in America, and you shouldn't be upset that some people could be offended by it. Like I understand not wanting it to be banned, but people have a point of maybe not wanting to see imagery like that. All right, all right. We don't have to talk about Turning Red. Calm down, everyone.
I'm not really sure how I feel about the joke about the singers in the band dying right after making the song. It could be funny, I guess, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit too mean-spirited, and I think that joke worked better in SpongeBob versus the Patty Gadget. But it's definitely not the worst constructed joke out there. Also, the very ending reminded me of a Dexter's Lab bumper. But obscure references aside, the episode has a lot of things to like and a lot of things to
You can't just say that, Pie Guy.
Episode 90A.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Which Dexter's Lab bumper? They made a million of them. All right. I think I think that might be a D-tier review. I don't know. To be completely honest, I feel like if I were to watch this episode now, Sing a Song of Patrick is probably one of those that I would come up on, that I would think is better. I think Again, you have to understand that, like, these reviews were made at a certain period of time, and when the buzz in the SpongeBob community is all about, like, oh, Patrick's been made so stupid, he's, Mr. Krabs has been made so greedy, like, SpongeBob's out of character here, and blah, blah, blah. Like, when there was a lot of discussion about characterization, it's just kind of on your mind whether you want it to be or not. Now, I'm just like, alright, whatever. The SpongeBob characters are pretty loose. Like, there are definitely times that like, there's definitely a point where they could be out of character, for sure. But I also think that, like, the range of acting in character, or, like, I don't know, like, the level of Patrick's stupidity, is it funny? If the answer is yes, then it's fine. That's really it. I don't really care how stupid it is. It just make it funny. And if it's funny, it works. That's kind of my feelings now on Patrick's stupidity. But I also understand that at that time, it was, like, there was a real concern that Patrick was just getting dumber and dumber. Fun fact, thank you, basically Bailey. The premise of a company turning people's poems into songs was based on a real-world service that existed from the 50s until the mid-90s. That's really interesting. Also, I'm just thinking about it now. Did this episode, did Sing a Song of Patrick predict Friday by Rebecca Black? Did it predict the legacy of that song? where Rebecca Black was in a similar situation where, like, her parents, I think, paid for her to have a music video as, like, a birthday gift or something like that. The song released, everyone was like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, it's horrible, boo. The poor girl got harassed, and now we've come back around where everyone's like, no, that song is, like, an ironic masterpiece. And Rebecca Black is, like, a totally innocent person who didn't do anything wrong at all, and it actually seems pretty cool. I saw her on Jeopardy recently, but yeah, anyway. That's kind of funny that a lot of parallels there. You didn't know about that? Oh, come on. Friday's a classic. Yes, she has released an actual album. I just spilled some coffee on myself. Give me 1 second. Okay, anyway, Pie Guy. How dare past Pie Guy go on these random tangents? Also Pie Guy. Random tangents. I guess someone mentioned that it's like the tangents give the reviews flavor as long as they're kind of on topic, and I think that's true. I think it's like as long as the tangents don't take up too much time or they're not too obtuse and random, you know. Thank you for the super chat, DDD. Sing a Song of Patrick predicted Justin Bieber. Thank you, Pran. The Flea's giving birth was off-putting. Oh dear. All right. I think that's the cue to move on here.
Sandy's tree dome gets swarmed by fleas. When will the writers learn to not start an episode with SpongeBob either screaming or crying? It never works out well. This one starts out with him crying.
Yeah, see, again, I don't know how I don't like past me kind of saying, like, you know, oh, you can never do this. Don't ever begin an episode like this. I don't like that. I feel like that boxes things in too much. Like, I agree that maybe starting the episode with SpongeBob making an obnoxious noise is a tough sell, but you know, there's nuance to it. It depends on how it's done.
It even adds Patrick to make it much worse. This episode has a lot of problems, though. Look at that flea. That is pretty much an accurate representation of the way the flea looks in the episode. And not just is that the way the flea looks, the flea also crawls around SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, at one point even going inside Sandy's eye, scratching against it. If that weren't bad enough, you get to...
Guess what? I don't remember this episode at all, and I'm glad I don't remember this episode at all. So you guys will have to tell me if this review is accurate.
See it give birth and then watch the eggs hatch and see it multiply. It's needlessly unpleasant and pretty much just a worse version of the joke from Wormy. And that's not the only episode this feels like a ripoff of. SpongeBob and Patrick being stuck in the tree dome with a wild animal from the surface, yeah, that's pretty much Survival of the Idiots, but this one is done worse. The very ending where the tree dome is flooded is a ripoff of the way Reef Blower ended, as well as what happens in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, where the town is stuck in a jar. And that ending is really obvious, by the way. Like, I don't know why they didn't realize that at first, or why they didn't just squash the dang flea in the first place. He sits on SpongeBob's hand for like a good 30 seconds. This episode is also full of padding, from SpongeBob and Patrick crying at the beginning, to way too many gags about the flea jumping from SpongeBob to Patrick to Sandy. Also, we get annoying jerky Patrick once again. He starts up an argument with SpongeBob, and it really doesn't feel like a friendly argument. It feels like a very, very hostile one, and one that only serves to make the situation way worse. Also, there's a stupid joke where he uses SpongeBob and Sandy to climb up and eat an apple, which doesn't even make any sense because he's wearing a helmet. How can he eat the apple?
I mean,
and I could forgive it if it was funny, but it's not.
Okay.
So it's not funny, doesn't make sense, and doesn't further your story. What is even the point? There's only two things I like about this episode. The part where SpongeBob and Patrick are setting up for Sandy to come home. They have some nice party-throwing gags, like with a banner where they both start writing on either side and then run out of space so it says "Welcome Mandy," or where Patrick eats the cake and then spits it out and it's in the shape of Texas. Those are some decent gags. I also kind of like the part where once the fleas have multiplied and have stopped becoming gross and are more just a mass of blackness, there are a few decent gags they play with. But if you compare the amount of times that something clever happens with the fleas and the amount of time where something really repetitive and stupid happens, yeah, the latter outweighs the former, which leads me to think that this was originally supposed to be a short. It may not be the worst episode, but it's definitely got badness coming from all sides. It's a scumbag episode. And no, Patrick, there is no such thing as vampires. There's only Nosferatu. If only the no singing policy from this episode could last just a few more episodes.
Man, I really keep hyping up the Atlantis review. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. And then I hate you guys with my horrible singing. Okay, what did you guys think of that one? Thank you for your super chat, Taz. I love this Patrick joke in one episode. Oh, we're having a staring contest? I thought this was a blinking contest and I was losing. Yeah, that's a pretty good joke. Nosferatu. Nosferatu. B or C tier, C tier, A tier. Very good review. A. Okay. All right. I think I could put it at a B. Boop. All right. What do we got? What do we got coming up here? We got the Donut of Shame, the Krusty Plate, Goo Goo Gas, Lay Big Switch, and then Atlantis. Okay.
Episode 90B, The Donut of Shame. Patrick must face the hardest moral dilemma of his life when he takes SpongeBob's donut. Before I say anything else about this short, Patrick should never have nipples. Just never, please. Anyway.
Patrick, okay, that's a good point, right? Patrick should never have nipples. I'm taking away your nipple privilege, Patrick.
This is a good example of Patrick being a jerk that actually makes for a decent story. He's not overly jerky here. In fact, he actually cares that he took SpongeBob's donut. And his jerkiness fuels the plot, so it's relevant. It's a simple plot, but they have a lot of fun with it. And while it is a far lesser episode than something like SpongeBob vs. the Patty Gadget, I think it's fairly solid. Solid enough to even call it a good episode. Although it is relatively close to meh. Also, is this the season of off-screen birthdays or something? I applaud this episode for not having all of the jokes be based off of the fact that Patrick is an idiot. It's not like Rise and Shine. They actually...
I don't know why I say it's close to a meh. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why I say that.
Vary it up a little bit. Although, I will agree, the Fine China joke goes on for way too long. And though none of the jokes are really that laugh-out-loud funny, it's all, at the very least, amusing. Episode 90...
Patrick... Okay, if you don't remember the episode, I vaguely remember this, that for some reason, I don't know if this was like a weird animation thing, but for some reason, the dots on Patrick's chest are like lined up to be his nipples. I don't know why. A or S tier, B, S plus tier review. It's not an S tier review, guys. I don't know why I say it's close to meh. I definitely could have said a little more about it. I think it could be a B or an A. I think that's kind of where I'm feeling. B tier, C tier, S plus B tier. All right, we'll B tier it. but it just right out the gate, Patrick should never have nipples. Can we get that on a shirt? I don't know why I'm asking. Why am I asking? I could make it happen. just walking around with a baseball cap that says Patrick should never have nipples. If you were the mom, this would be pretty disturbing.
See, the Krusty Plate. SpongeBob tries to clean a stubborn spot off of a plate. I like this episode a lot. It does a lot of things correct for a 4-minute short, and much like SpongeBob vs. the Patty Gadget is another great use of the short format. You go with a very, very basic plot, and it doesn't go on for too long because you only have 4 minutes. The episode has some really cool looking effects, it has a great use of shock humor with Mr. Krabs, and what makes it really work is that it's vague and fast, so it just gives you enough information to get the joke, but not enough to understand exactly what on earth is going on. Also, it's really bizarre to see SpongeBob actually use a kitchen sponge. Come to think of it, maybe To Love a Patty would have made more sense if SpongeBob fell in love with an actual kitchen sponge. But yeah, it's a fun farce and a good episode, and definitely one of the best shorts.
I think that's an A-tier review. I think that's just for a short. I think that was like all that needed to be said. That's an interesting point I make about like, would the To Love a Patty be better if SpongeBob fell in love with an actual inanimate sponge, or would that make it weirder? I don't know. Maybe it would. Thank you for the super chat, Pran. David Bowie. I always say his name wrong. I'm sorry. It's like it's Bowie, right? It's not like Bowie knife or Bowie. I don't know why I do that. David Bowie didn't sing in Atlantis because he suffered a heart attack during production of that special. Is that true? Some people are saying it's not true. I don't know if that's true or not. Look, let's put it this way. There is definitely some reason behind the scenes why he did not sing in that episode. Either they didn't want to pay him, or he didn't want to sing for it. Like, he just said, I'll voice a character, but I'm not going through the effort of doing that. Or, I don't know. But there's some production reason. There's no way that they got this guy, and then they said, like, yeah, but we don't want you to sing. Like, it's just a creative decision. We just don't want it. Like, there's definitely some reason. I don't know what it is, but it could very well be that, I guess. Thank you for the super chat, Taz. One more thing. I enjoyed the Tale of Iroh episode, but it's hard for me to sympathize with Iroh in general since he used to be a high-ranking general. I mean, look, people need to believe in redemption a little bit more these days, I think. People need to understand the complexities of what redemption entails. This is coming up recently with Invincible. I won't spoil anything, but like the topics of redemption, forgiveness, what does a person deserve, right? How bad can a person be before they just don't deserve any forgiveness or whatever? And I don't know. I think Iroh does the best that he can to make a new life to atone for what he's done as best as he can. But I understand. The casting of David Bowie without him singing is probably outdone respectively by Milo Murphy's Law having a song in every episode and Sabrina Carpenter voicing a main character who never sung. Oh, wow. But was Sabrina Carpenter a singer back then? I love how we're still building up, even in the stream, we're building up the hype of Atlantis SquarePants. What you can forgive in fiction is completely different than what you can forgive in reality. My personal stance on this, like what I think, and I think Invincible's kind of going for this too, is just this idea of like, you can be or I think a lot of people have the right to grow and learn from their mistakes and do better, but they don't have the right to pick up their life where it was and keep traumatizing the people around. You know what I mean? Like I feel like this concept of like, if you're truly repetitive and you truly want to do better in this world, you can pick up your life, pick up the whatever's left and move somewhere else and try to do the best you can somewhere else, I think that's kind of my personal feelings on it. But I know it's a tough topic, and I know that the internet has lately been very, 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 very against redemption, I guess. And also in part because there's a lot of bad people that try to use redemption as like well, I'm really sorry, so, whatever, like, I gotta make my money, and it's like, you have a right to, like, a life. You don't necessarily have a right to the life you had before. Like, all these people in Hollywood, it's like, look, you have a right to keep existing as a person, if you do a bad thing, but you don't necessarily have a right to be an actor or a popular actor or whatever. Anyway, DD says, I believe it was because Bowie was cast late in production. Again, I don't know. Bailey, thank you. Fun fact, Bowie used to run a website/forum where he would troll his own users and insult his own music under the username Sailor. Yeah, he was certainly an interesting person. Certainly an interesting person. But basically, it's just kind of like a really interesting discussion in SpongeBob stream. Sorry, I know. It's just, these things are on my mind a lot because of the internet. But yeah, it's just kind of like, if you don't believe in redemption, then what's the point? Like, why would anyone ever be motivated to continue trying to be a moral good person after they've done something bad or whatever? I don't know. We gotta try to do better. Anyway, my current viewership has gone up just to the review. All right, enough stalling. Let's keep moving along so we can get to the review.
91A, Goo Goo Gas. Plankton creates a gas to turn the Krusty Krab employees into babies and steal the formula. So this is one of the few episodes of the season that I'd actually never seen before. And look at that air date. It aired way past everything else in the season for no adequately explained reason. Some of the other episodes that were held until slightly later were the two specials, which kind of makes sense.
Oh, here's Pie Guy on with his air dates again. He's on his air date tangents.
Specials at a time spaced apart from all the other specials, I guess. But why Goo Goo Gas? It just doesn't really make any sense. So I was very pleasantly surprised with this episode. There is a lot of jokes here, and a lot of really funny ones at that. I like that Plankton's disguised as the pepper shaker. I like Plankton's joke about baby powder. I like when SpongeBob actually calls the police and then Plankton is able to get out of the handcuffs because he's so tiny. I like when Plankton turns Karen into a baby, she turns into a calculator, then spells out hello. I like how SpongeBob defends the elderly people and the elderly people attack Plankton. I even like how off-putting baby Squidward is because it's not overused here. He looks disgusting, but he's not on screen for very long. It's a good episode, which is especially surprising because of how easy it would have been for them to make an episode about babies be really annoying with them constantly crying, or really gross with tons of poop jokes. And yes, there's a few fart jokes and a few gross out stuff, and a little bit of crying, but it's really not much. In fact, I consider this one
is not grammatically correct.
Almost up there with Krabs a la mode in terms of quality. The only things I don't like about this...
Wait, hang on, don't a lot of people dislike this episode? Or maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't really remember the episode all that much.
This episode are the fact that Plankton is inexplicably floating when he's writing on the chalkboard. It just doesn't look right. And the fact that it has such an abrupt ending. It kind of bugs me how no one is reversed by the end of the episode, but you can tell that they were running out of time, and the rest of the episode is so funny and so good that I can forgive it. Episode 91B.
Seeing a lot of mixed opinions in the chat. Okay, so I'm not wrong. This is one of those like more contentious episodes, which is fine that I liked it. Like, I'm not saying I shouldn't have, but I was just kind of surprised. I think that was maybe like a C tier review, to be honest. I feel like I kept saying like I like X, I like X, I like X, and it's like, no, you don't need to just keep saying. You can say like I like Karen being calculator, Squidward doing this, SpongeBob doing this. Like, you could just say it so it flows better instead of having to say I like a million times. But you guys, I did see someone point out that, like, I'm not saying absolutely hilarious, which is good. It seems my new tick in this video is disgusting. Also saying, like, you know, of course, or it has to be a scumbag. Like instead of just saying what it is, I'm like, it's gotta be. Maybe you're thinking of Squid Baby. Oh, yeah, maybe I am thinking about that one. Huh. Okay. Alright, one more review.
Switch. SpongeBob is switched with a snooty French chef in an exchange program. The entirety of this episode is pretty much just one joke over and over.
My channel basically started off with a horrible French accent. Oh, VLC crashed. Okay. Weird. Give me one sec. But yeah, my channel basically started out with like this horrible French accent, and it's always popped up.
Are you ready, kids?
Oh gosh. Oh dear. Technical difficulties, please hold. Uh-oh. VLC, what are you doing? You know, VLC just asked me right before the stream if I wanted to update, and maybe I should have. I chose not to. Well, guys, I guess we just can't get to the Atlanta SquarePants episode.
Are you ready, kids? PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome to every episode of SpongeBob Season 5 review.
Huh. Okay. All right, guys, just give me a minute here, and we'll I'll try to sort this out. I'm gonna just turn this off for the moment, and I opened VLC and it said today. It said that too. Yeah, I mean I don't think I got a special update. I think that was for everyone. Thank you for the super chat, Taz. I'm sorry if I caused any detour. Avatar just makes me uncomfortable and I want to express myself. I think I'll leave now. Have a good one, Paga. Okay. I mean, you don't have to. Thank you for expressing yourself. No judgment here, Taz. VLC, what are you doing? I'm really sorry, guys. It's like, it's stuck in full screen mode on my second monitor. I mean, I can play it, but it'll start playing from the beginning. I can't seem to control it. Maybe let me force quit VLC. Yeah, you know what? I think that's what I need to do. End the task. Yeah, okay. Let me, I guess, try, like, Windows Media Player or something? Or whatever. Windows Media Player Legacy. Oh no. The extension is not recognized by Windows Media Player because it's an F4V file. Why did I export this in F4V? I might have still been using PowerPoint at this point. Huh. Okay. Sorry, I'll answer some super chats while I'm trying to fix this. Thank you for the super chat, Pran. Which characters would I like to have playable in Nick All-Star Brawl? That's a good question. I don't know. Harvey Beaks, just because it'd be some good rep. DDD, 2 movie questions. Have I watched the Minecraft movie? Did I see this Mario Galaxy movie yet? No, I did not watch the Minecraft movie. Come on. Come on. I'm not that much of a memester. And did I see the new Super Mario Galaxy movie yet? No, I have not yet. Just use the YouTube video. Yeah, I mean I can. It's just that I'd have to set up like a lot of stuff to do that. Alright, what if if I just disconnect my second monitor and reconnect it, that might fix this. I mean, I could reenact the review. Start off with the worst song in SpongeBob history, and it only gets worse from there. Something has any something, and the jokes aren't even there. I don't remember it. It does actually seem to be an issue with my second monitor. Huh. Hang on, I'll be able to get this sorted. Hang on. Ah, the special is not funny and the plot is really bare. Ah. Okay, I haven't taken music lessons since the episode Have You. No, I'm not a singer. I'm very much not a singer. Alright, here we go. Thank you for the super chat. Mario, my question for you is, if you kept doing the season reviews, which characters would the 11 plus slides have been based on? Well, geez, I guess at a certain point they'd have to start being like Nose for Octo and Bubble Bass, right? Yeah, I don't think I ever did Larry the Lobster. He might have been next. I think I did Mrs. Puff. I don't even remember. Give this guy a record deal stat. Almost fixed. Almost fixed. Hang on. You guys really remember this song, don't you? All right. Let's do this. Okay. I assume you guys can see that. I know it's really small. I will try to fix that. Okay. All right. I think we might be back on track. Let me get it to where it was. Can you guys see this? And oh, hang on. No, not yet. Can you
the donut of shame.
hear that?
Patrick must...
I think you guys can. Alright, like Big Switch is where we were. If it doesn't work, you can just sing the songs from Atlantis SquarePants. You think I remember those songs? Oh, man. Alright, I just have to... Yeah. It sucks. I had a second monitor set up. The thing is, I have my Stream Deck conveniently set up so that I can play and pause it, like, at a button press. If I had gone through YouTube, I wouldn't have been able to... Like, I'd have to set that all up. So anyway, all right. the big switch was apparently switching off my second monitor.
Type, but it's something that they already did in the Scum joke. So 91B, ending. It kind of switch. SpongeBob is switched with a snooty French chef in an exchange.
All right, we saved it.
The entirety of this episode is pretty much just one joke over and over again. French people are snooty, which is not only a really annoyingly repetitive and bad stereotype, but it's something that they already did.
I call it a bad stereotype, and yet I also perpetuate it.
In the SpongeBob episode, All That Glitters. There is a few other jokes here and there, like Squidward choking on the sentiment, which was my favorite part, but overall it's relatively jokeless. Although it's kind of bland, the episode really doesn't do anything too heinous outside of the French stereotyping, and the story itself is actually kind of entertaining. SpongeBob not being able to cook anything but Krabby Patties is something that is a kind of plot point you'd expect them to have, even though it really doesn't make that much sense, even within the episode. And yes, I get that the joke is that everything he makes turns into Krabby Patties. That's not what bothers me. It's that fun fact that he made coral bits at the beginning of the episode, so how does it make any sort of sense that he can only make Krabby Patties? Why isn't it that he can only make fast food? That would make a lot more sense, but that's just nitpicking. It's a meh episode. Start off.
Okay, alright, hey, whoa, hang on. Hang on.
History and it only gets...
Hang on, Atlantis SquarePants review. Hang on one sec. Is the 1.0 or 2.0 PyCons in this video? I think these were still the 1.0. Or where are they? I don't even remember. I don't know. All right. No, we're not there yet. What are we reviewing that Big Switch review? I don't know. I mean, I don't really care about the French stereotypes. We can take or leave them. They're fine. They can deal with it. They know what they did. You're really desperate to put it off. All right. Yeah, I'll give it a C tier. I don't think this review was like really good or bad. All right, fine. Here we go. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Here we go.
That he made coral bits at the plot is start off with the slowest moving song in SpongeBob history, and it only gets worse from there. This special is not funny, and the plot is really bad. Every art style they try, they severely botch. Gave my eyes a kick to the crotch. They somehow made 8-bit animation look like trash. The special was just a desperate grab for cash. No, seriously, Nick is the one to blame. I'm sure they did this to sell the video game. It was originally 11 minutes, truly. Instead, we got this terribly long TV movie. Really, the songs are the absolute worst part, of which there are too many, and they sound like a fart. You think my rhymes are forced and irritating? Just watch this special, you'll find mine less grating. The fight scene at the end is a little bit clever, but to get to that point just feels like forever. The patchy segments are strange and go on too long, but at least he doesn't sing an awkward song. Too much of my life this special did rob. I think it's clear that it is a scumbag.
Oh boy.
Well, that was different. This TV movie is absolutely horrible. The songs are just miserable. This thing is just an utter mess, and if you want to hear me really tear into it, trust me, I will. There's just not enough time here. Episode 9.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know how to sing. Like, it's not even... Basically, like... I could have put more effort in, okay? I could have tried, but the problem is that I cringed even back then doing this. So like if I were to put effort into it, I would just never get it to where I want it to be. I don't know. Maybe I should have commissioned someone to sing this for me. That might have been the best way to do it. I don't know, but you know what? It could have been better, but I think it was interesting. You know, people still talk about it, and that's something. A lot of people want me to put it in S tier, and part of me kind of wants to do that. Did I take a track and put lyrics, or did I make up lyrics with no melody? I don't even know. I don't know which one I did. That was a Kevin MacLeod song, I think. 10 out of 10, S tier. Thank you for super chat, super. To be honest, I think Atlanta SquarePants is kind of overrated. I do agree with its flaws. I thought it was mediocre. Do you mean overhated? Or because I don't think it has a particularly good reputation. I know not everyone dislikes it as much as I do, but I don't think it's like release an album. Yeah, okay. Right. I do think it's an S tier review. Like taking away the singing for 5 seconds here. I do say correct things. Like I very succinctly sum up the problems with the episode. And I tried, okay? I tried. For better or worse, I tried, and I did something, and people remember it, and I'm trying to convince myself that it's okay that I did this. But yeah. All right. Are you entertained? Did you guys enjoy it? And yes, as I've said many times, I do talk about it a little bit more at the end of the video in a non-singing way. Okay, good. I'm glad everyone's happy. We did the Atlantis thing. All right, bye to everyone who's leaving because they just wanted to watch that and then leave. That's fine. By the way, I think this is maybe a good time to announce this. I was considering releasing some of my SpongeBob reviews as YouTube shorts, like the same reviews, but I would format the slide to be vertical instead of horizontal, and then just release it. Here's an Atlanta SquarePants review from 10 years ago showing up in your shorts feed. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I kind of wanted to do that, and I wanted to do that with the reviews that we rank like S tier. So, you know, at least you were self-aware in it being bad. That makes the bad singing forgivable to agree. Thank you. I mean, again, to be fair, like it's not like I put this out there and I'm like, man, I'm a great singer. This was really a banger. Like I genuinely putting it out there. I'm like, you know what? The songs are bad in the special. I don't know how to sing. I wanted to do something fun and different, especially because I knew I was gonna review this again at some point anyway. So there we go. Thank you for the super chat. C. Do I still hate Atlanta SquarePants? Yes. Yes. I've had to sit through it enough times. Not as many times as Truth or Square, but I've sat through it enough times that even having not seen it in like, who knows, like 7 years at this point, I can still tell you I dislike this special. I dislike a lot. Just a lot of it. What if I review Pink Floyd's The Wall, but I just recreate all the songs to have criticism of the movie? I mean, Doug Walker at least can sing better than I can, but I won't defend anything else. Oh, goodness. All right. I thought the bad singing was meant to be on purpose. Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, sure. All right. Anyway. Thank you, DDD. Atlanta SquarePants was Casey Alexander, one of the show's writers from season 4 through 9A's least favorite episode. I'm not surprised. I would imagine behind the scenes, this was like a tough thing to put together. I mean, I've talked about it ad nauseum, but SpongeBob was not inherently made to be a long-form cartoon. It was made to be 11 minutes, maybe 22 minutes every so often. It was not inherently made to be film length, right? Or an hour long. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying that it can't be, or that it should never be, or never try, but I'm just saying that in order to make something like a SpongeBob movie, or a TV movie, or even a lot of the like half-hour specials, you have to really change things like a little bit. You have to stretch the formula, in a way, and it's hard to do that creatively. It's hard to, like take this whole thing and make it like a narrative that you have to like get deeply invested in. You have to have not just like jokes, but you have to have a setting and ideas, and you have to go bigger than SpongeBob is. You have to change it. You have to do things to it, and that can turn out great things. Again, I know people love the SpongeBob movie to death. I know there's people that love the other SpongeBob movies, the sequels, to death. I have quite a bit of fondness for the second movie, and that's totally fair. But I'm just saying that they had to take it and really kind of stretch production and stretch ideas and stretch a lot of things. And so I would imagine, I don't know, but I would guess that to have Nickelodeon come to them and say, listen, we want you to make something longer than even a half hour, and it's going to have big guest stars, and we're going to sell advertisements. It has to be a big deal. I would imagine that puts a lot of pressure on the team. So, okay. Anyway.
93A. Picture Day. SpongeBob attempts to stay clean while getting to boating school on Picture Day. So this episode is filled with repetition and has Patrick in a very annoying role. That said, it's a great episode and a great short. The thing they do that makes this not annoying or irritatingly repetitive is the fact that every time we go back to SpongeBob getting ready, we see less and less of it. Therefore, it feels more like a structure to the episode than something that we keep having to see over and over again. It makes the episode have a really nice flow, and we get to see SpongeBob struggle without having to see the entire struggle every time. As far as Patrick's appearance, he has his smug face on, which just always irritates me. Patrick should be a happy-go-lucky character, not a smug, annoying one. He's not that annoying in this episode, because really he only does one stupid thing, and I guess it's forgivable because maybe he didn't hear SpongeBob because he was in the jar or something, so it's not that bad, and it definitely doesn't ruin this good episode. I also really like the sequence where SpongeBob tries not to get hit with ketchup. It's a really fun action scene, and it's something that fits really well within the show. Something else this episode gets really right is the way they have SpongeBob cry. Instead of having him loudly wail in a really obnoxious manner, they just have him quietly snivel, in a way that's really not obnoxious at all. Episode 93.
Hide your emotions, SpongeBob. Quietly snivel. How dare you cry? Big sponges don't cry, they snivel. Yeah, I'd probably a C tier review. I could have done better. I don't think I convinced myself that it was like a great episode. Toxic masculinity. Do I like the second SpongeBob movie more than the first SpongeBob movie, or do I still feel that way? Man, I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen the first SpongeBob movie, and I was pretty deep into like film criticism and film theory and college film classes at that point, and I was very critical. So I don't know. I don't really want to revisit my movie review, to be completely honest, and I don't know if I would still feel that way. I know that, like, look, for what it's worth, the scene of SpongeBob and Patrick shriveling up is the emotional, like, the most emotional gut punch that SpongeBob has ever had and probably will ever have, and it does emotionally affect, knowing that, like, it's obviously it's SpongeBob's not gonna die, but like the emotions of the moment, whether you logically care or not, like it gets you. And I think for whatever else that I have to say about the movie, it does achieve some pretty high highs with that in particular. The joke about Hasselhoff is pretty amazing. Dennis is a pretty, like, intimidating character. The bubble blowing stuff is memorable. I think for me, I just don't like the ending of the movie, to be completely honest. But again, I'd have to really rewatch it. I don't know. I think, again, I had high standards for what a movie should be, and in reality, things can be a little bit more flexible than that. Thanks for the super chat, Pran. Is the title Pat No Pay, is it a reference? I don't think so. I think it's just trying to be just a play on his name. I don't know. But anyway, there's my spiel on the SpongeBob movie. So I don't know. I think I probably have come up on it more than in that review. But hot take, I could never take that scene seriously even as a kid. I never cried. Wow. Have you no soul? Just kidding. All right. Pat No Pay.
Pat No Pay. Patrick must work for Mr. Krabs after not being able to pay for his food. So if Patrick was only mildly irritating in the last episode, he is full-on obnoxious in this episode. The thing is, you might be able to justify away all of Patrick's behavior in this episode with, oh, he's just stupid and he doesn't know any better, but that still doesn't make it any less irritating to watch. I think the problem with this episode is pretty much the same problem with Rise and Shine. Patrick cannot carry an episode by himself. The only reason it worked in Donut of Shame was because they didn't just tell Patrick his stupid jokes.
I don't agree with this at all, that Patrick can't carry an episode by himself. I think saying that in order for Patrick to carry an episode, he needs to be maybe like a little bit more intelligent than the stupidest version of Patrick. But I don't know. I don't like these blanket statements.
And they actually cared about the plot, which is something that this episode doesn't. It is literally just a vehicle for telling a bunch of Patrick is stupid jokes. So it's incredibly obvious when SpongeBob walks into the trash compactor room with a bag full of money that looks like a bag full of trash, exactly what Patrick's going to do. There's nothing funny about it because there's no surprise. You know what's going to happen. And why is this one of the few episodes where Mr. Krabs does not end up on top? Seriously, this is one of the very few showings of his where he's actually in the right. All he wanted Patrick to do was pay for his food. Maybe they should have made Mr. Krabs more of a villain in this episode, and then all the bad things that were happening to him because of Patrick's stupidity would have been more enjoyable to watch. I guess the writers thought that they could get away with this episode just relying on Patrick being stupid jokes because, hey, it's only 4 minutes. But the thing is, we've seen Patrick be stupid so many other times that we don't need an entire episode dedicated to one form of joke. Take the previous episode, for example. Yes, most of the jokes were just SpongeBob getting dirty, but look at the many different ways they vary him getting dirty, and look at how unpredictable a lot of them are. Then you look at something like this, and it's obvious that at everything Patrick does, he's going to screw up, and it's pretty obvious in which ways he's going to do it. Nothing much to redeem it here. It's a scumbag episode.
I'm not defending
I
the
kinda like the
episode.
joke about how Patrick is paying for it, even though it's really stupid in the context of how Mr. Krabs asks. It's not really that funny, and that tells you something when it's the highlight of the episode for me. Episode 9.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the absolutism. I think saying something like frequently Patrick-led episodes struggle because his shtick is that he's just so dumb. But like, you know, the music episode I rated not a SpongeBob, right? Like C-tier review? Yeah, I think so. Thank you for the super chat. Jenna, is Boat Smarts or Pat No Pay worse? I would imagine Pat No Pay is probably worse. I don't really remember either of them very well, but Pat No Pay sounds like it has nothing redeeming going for it. At least Boat Smarts is trying to do something, I guess. All right. It's time for Texas Hold'em.
93C, Blackjack. SpongeBob thinks his parents have been kidnapped by his crazy cousin. So this is another one of those story-driven episodes with a twist at the end. And like a lot of the other ones, it is very, very light on the comedy. Really, there's not too many jokes at all aside from, well, SpongeBob thinking his grandmother was burned to a crisp when he sees a gingerbread man, which I found funny not because you think it's actually his grandmother, but because it's obviously a gingerbread man and SpongeBob is clearly overreacting. Other than that, though, there really isn't that many jokes. As far as the story, it's actually not bad. It's got very, very nice build-up and some actually legitimately dramatic moments where you kind of fear for SpongeBob. Honestly, my biggest problem with the episode is that everything really grinds to a halt once he gets to Uncle Captain Blue's house. That entire section of him doing all those chores was not particularly funny and really just kind of took away and distracted from the main plot at hand. It felt like incredibly boring filler. That being said, the twist at the end of SpongeBob's cousin actually being tiny is pretty decent. I wasn't exactly expecting that. Obviously, he wasn't hurting SpongeBob's parents, it was pretty clear that it was some sort of fumigation thing happening at their house, and everything else sounded vague enough that you knew there was going to be some sort of twist at the end. Now, how does this episode stand on rewatch? Not incredibly well, because without the comedy, there's not really much to come back to, and once you know both twists of SpongeBob's cousin and what he's doing with his parents, it's not really that interesting. There is some good build-up stuff, so it's definitely not the worst, and it definitely has some rewatch value, especially if you can't quite remember the ending, but as it stands, knowing the twist doesn't really add too much to the rest of the episode. So I would say it's about meh. If you want a serious, story-driven episode, this one is alright, though there are some better options. I would actually suggest Roller Cowards because, hey, it has some good build-up, some good mystery of what's gonna happen,
Man, I'm
and
still
it's
going
actually
after
really funny, which proves that you don't
it.
have to sacrifice one just to have the other. There's no reason why they couldn't have thrown.
Do I still remember the twist? That's a good question. Well, it's like, isn't he doing something for? I don't know. I don't actually. I know the twist is that it's not. He didn't kidnap them. He's like, I don't know, doing a good deed for them or something, right?
More jokes into this episode and still kept the more serious tone. Episode 94A, Blackened.
Blackjack was smaller than Plankton. Oh, the twist is Blackjack is tiny. Oh, didn't Past Pie Guy just say it? Did I? I don't know. That review was okay. I think that's maybe a B tier review. I feel like I kind of covered things pretty well there. Say an A. A tier. Yeah, you know what? Let's bump it up to A. Let's do it. Party was to celebrate his release from prison. Oh, and the house got a botched fumigation. It's barely a twist and just an ending joke. Fair. All right, let's keep going.
Sponge. When SpongeBob accidentally gives himself an embarrassing black eye, he makes up stories to hide it. What amazes me most about this episode is that it features a cold sore, a black eye, SpongeBob falling on a pile of staples, SpongeBob getting stabbed in the eye several times, and yet none of it is gross or painful. There's no gross-up close-ups, and it doesn't dwell on the pain or disgustingness. And you know what else helps? The fact that this episode is really funny. Every character that appears has at least one really good line, including some of the background fish. There's a great line about sponges not having...
I don't remember this episode. Like, I vaguely remember. Is there like a big... Or like, is SpongeBob like retelling stories of himself being really tough? Yeah, well, that's what the description is. But I mean, like, it like shows him like giant and buff or something.
Eardrums. Patrick has that amazing line of suing people. Sandy has some great lines too, like assuming that SpongeBob immediately lost the fight. I like that Patrick is actually a good friend of SpongeBob in this episode. I like how Sandy is actually riding seahorses, which is something you think you'd see in a lot more episodes. I also like that it makes sense that Jack M. Crazy Fish is real, because most of the people that you see in your dreams are people that you've kind of got a glimpse of on the street. So it makes sense that some background character that SpongeBob may have seen but not actually recognized appears in his dreams. I love SpongeBob's stories because they're a great mix of visual humor as well as SpongeBob's comedic narrations. And last but not least, I like the lesson. I like the fact that SpongeBob is a jerk, but he gets punished for it and called out for his behavior. All in all, this is probably one of the most pleasant surprises of Season 5, as I didn't remember this episode to be this good. But amazingly, it really is. It is a very good episode. Episode 94B, Mermaid.
I like that review. Definitely an S tier, a very high A. Yeah, I don't think it gets S tier, but I think it gets A. I think it gets A. I think that was a good, solid review. I think what it is that it's one of those episodes that it's a good episode for sure, but I don't know that it has super strong iconography. You know, what I mean by that is just like an episode that takes place at like a unique location, right? Like I don't know, like, you know, having Super Weenie Hut Juniors, right, in an episode, or I don't know, it has a location, or like a special guest character, like the bully, right, like everyone remembers Flats. Episodes like that, it's like, okay, that really sticks with me, and I guess this does have someone named Jack M. Crazy Fish, but I don't remember what he looks like. I don't know. I think that's what it is. It just didn't stick in my mind, but I don't doubt that this was a good episode. I do remember liking it. Everyone's too distracted by Chad Pie Guy. Oh no, he's hot. Oh dear.
Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob. Plankton brainwashes Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy into publicly insulting the Krusty Krab. Before I talk about the episode, I'd like to point out an uncanny similarity between Plankton's mind control shampoo and Dr. Drakken's from Kim Possible.
No, you don't have to point that out, Pie Guy. You don't have to bring up a show from like 10 years ago. I don't know.
So this is the true Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode of the season, and it's pretty fun. It plays on that old comic cliche of having heroes brainwashed to fight other heroes. It was a neat idea to have Plankton cross over with a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, which is something we haven't seen this far. And Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy themselves are really great in this episode. They've got a lot of good lines, and I really like the gross-up close-ups of their faces. It's really horrifying in a funny way. Although I think this is a good episode, it's actually my least favorite of all the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boys, if you don't include Nightlight. It's not actually that funny, and the action is a little bit short here, but there are some good jokes like the Krabby Patties are evil, and I like the whole sequence where
Apparently, I guess I did stop saying gag as much, right? Like, I finally learned.
Been trying to sell Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy the shampoo. It's also a really buggy episode. There's a line that Mr. Krabs should have. His mouth says wait, but there's no actual dialogue given there. There's also a point where people are rushing out of a hole in the Krusty Krab, and then it cuts to Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy leaving, and when they leave, the people haven't left yet, but it cuts to them there, and the people just aren't there. It's hard to describe, but it's definitely an animation error, and it comes off as really jarring. There's also a point where Squidward slides down some glass, but his body is completely motionless as this happens, making it look like some sort of photoshopped effect instead of actual animation. I'm not really sure what's up with these, but it does look jarring and does take away from the episode a little bit. Episode 95.
That was a solid review. I don't think I should have gone on as much about the animation errors if I'm not going to show the animation errors. Maybe just a quick pointed out type thing, or maybe just don't mention it at all. But yeah, I think it's an A-tier review. Kind of say as much as I need to. Oh, there's a my leg gag in that episode I forgot to point out. Interesting.
The Inmates of Summer. SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally end up in a high-security prison with a tough warden. So the most interesting thing about this episode is that the warden is played by the guy who played a drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, which makes a lot of sense because his performance here is amazing. In fact, he's the best thing and probably really the only thing I like about this episode. Although his performance is great, we've already seen SpongeBob come up against a tough drill sergeant type person in Mrs. Puff You're Fired, so it's not entirely new. But I think my biggest problem with this episode is that SpongeBob and Patrick stay ignorant throughout the entire thing. We've seen SpongeBob and Patrick be really ignorant in other episodes, but here it's just so obvious that they're in a jail. It's more frustrating than it is comical, and other than the fact that SpongeBob and Patrick enjoy all of the warden's punishments, they don't really do anything with it. It's like SpongeBob and Patrick are just there. Maybe it's just me, but I find that to be really weird and jarring about this episode. Like I said though, the warden is really great, and even some of the other inmates have a few decent lines, but nothing here is particularly that great, or really that bad, so it's a meh episode. Episode 9.
It's like a C-tier review. I think it was fine, but I don't say a whole lot. Again, it's the curse of the meh episodes, right? It's like I don't have a lot to say. I know a lot of people, or at least it's a very mixed episode. There's a lot of people that really like it. Some people don't. Arlie Ermey unfortunately passed away from pneumonia. It's the same disease that killed Jim Henson. Do you find the episode a bit boring and tedious other than his performance? I don't really remember it. I think, well, first of all, rest in peace, poor guy. But I think, like, I don't know. I think at this point I was just kind of sick of that shtick, right? The Magoo stick, the SpongeBob and Patrick don't know what's going on. They think something else is happening. It's a classic, like, cartoon setup type thing, and it's been done well in SpongeBob, and it's been done poorly in SpongeBob. But I think, I don't know, I feel like season 4 and 5 maybe leaned on it too much, and I was just kind of sick of it. So perhaps if I went into the episode with maybe like a different mindset, it would be better, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'd hate it otherwise. No idea. Thank you for the super chat. The world is yours. Have I seen the Pie Guy remaster videos? No, I haven't. I did talk about it earlier. You know what? I appreciate that someone cared enough to do that. I just kind of wish I would have been contacted in any way. I'm not the biggest fan of having my stuff just kind of used without even talking to me. But it is what it is. It's the internet. What are you going to do? All right, to shave a squirrel.
95B. to save a squirrel. SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally end up stuck in the wilderness with nothing to eat. So in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick frantically run around trying to cook each other. It gives off a very distinct Bugs Bunny vibe, and I like that. I also like the joke with the sponge cake, as ridiculous as it is. And I definitely didn't see that twist at the end coming. Not that it's really that great of a twist or adds to anything, but hey, points for unpredictability. It's also kind of strange that SpongeBob is the one that wants to eat Patrick before Patrick wants to eat SpongeBob. Usually Patrick's the one that's willing to just eat anything. What I don't really like about this episode is that it feels very similar to a lot of other episodes where SpongeBob and Patrick are in the wilderness, like Club SpongeBob, or the camping episode, technically, or even Life of Crime. Also, there's other episodes where SpongeBob hangs out in a cave, like in Nature Pants or a certain upcoming episode. As such, the episode doesn't have too much of a distinct feel to it, so it's not particularly memorable. And there's one Patrick joke in this episode that is just really annoying. Him trying to think goes on for way too long, and if you really think about it, it doesn't really make much sense with the rest of the episode, like the fact that they apparently haven't starved in the months that Patrick is thinking, and the fact that Sandy's been disguised as this old guy this entire time with this plan. Come to think of it, a lot of other things in this episode don't make much sense. Like, we actually see Sandy's truck pull away where SpongeBob and Patrick are standing, then suddenly they're just magically inside the truck. I know it's a cartoon, but maybe not showing SpongeBob and Patrick as Sandy is pulling out of the driveway would have made a little bit more sense. It's a pretty mixed episode, which in my book translates to a meh. Though I will say it is on the upper side of meh. Episode 9.
Yeah, I do focus a little bit on characterization. I think, again, it's like one of those things where you just accept that SpongeBob is a cartoon that's gone for, however many 300 plus episodes. You just have to accept that the characters are flexible and kind of set where your line is, like where you think it's too far in terms of like this is no longer believable characteristic. But yeah, I thought that review was okay. B tier review, yeah, I think so. I don't remember the episode, to be completely honest. Oh yeah, no, there was a car honking, definitely. The episode's not under arrest, but someone's ready for us to move on to the next one. Thanks for the super chat, Pran. Highest meh rating you ever given to an episode? Like that was close to being a good episode. I don't know of what we've watched so far. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, it's not like I have like a numbered list of episodes. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, this one's here and here. I'm sure somewhere in my reviews I say this one's on the bubble, this one's close to being good, or whatever. Something that I say that to was probably where. SpongeBob Discourse was in a weird place in general at the time. I don't think we could judge your odd priorities too hard. Honestly, fair. Like, I'm not saying this to be harsh on myself. You guys know when I'm being harsh on myself, which is frequently. But just in terms of like, yeah, there was a lot of discourse about like, yeah, was Patrick being too dumb? Is Mr. Krabs too greedy? Is SpongeBob too mean? Like, all that stuff. And I think it's fair. It's fair to bring up that sort of thing, but it's like in the season 3 video, or the season 2, I don't know, the one where I'm like, Mr. Krabs is a villain in this episode, and it's not good because he's a big fat meanie and he doesn't even apologize. Like, I'm like, all right, Pie Guy, calm down. Jellyfish Hunter review.
96. Pest of the West. SpongeBob finds out he has a Wild West relative, so the special is really annoying. Like, seriously. They had no imagination with this whatsoever. They just literally took SpongeBob characters and threw every single Wild West cliche imaginable into this story without trying to parody any of it. The only thing they subvert is when SpongeBob asks them all to huddle up and then he just whispers because he doesn't actually have a plan. Everything else is played pretty dang straight. There are a few jokes, like the player piano gag that I actually like, and the simplified drawings of SpongeBob and Patrick, but overall it's not very funny. And if I'm supposed to take this seriously as an actual story, it is really light in any sort of plot and it doesn't make any sort of sense. Plankton is not intimidating at all. He's just one tiny guy with a whip. You know what made a lot of those old West gangs intimidating? They had a ton of members and, oh, I don't know, guns. Yeah, you can't show guns in SpongeBob, but make him have a more intimidating weapon. Give him a gang. Give him something.
Give him an army,
even. The joke
even.
is supposed to be that he's super unintimidating because he's so tiny and doesn't really have any means to be terrifying everyone like he is, then it's not funny. And yes, they switch out drinking alcohol for drinking milk, but it's...
Thank you for the super chat, Mason. What would I rank Picture Day now? I haven't, again, I haven't seen it in years, but I think I'd still like it. I seemed to like it back then. Yeah, what's the read on this episode? Some people seem to want me to rank it higher. I don't remember it. So, I don't know. I remember there's a joke, there's a coffin jockeys. I remember as like a running joke, which I guess is a play on some sort of old-timey term for being dead. They drink milk, and there's a song about being idiot friends. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think most people consider it super bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think at the time it was considered super bad. But I honestly, I feel like it's one of those specials that just kind of got lost, like in the discourse. Like, a lot of people just didn't talk about it. Like, people talked about whatever happened to SpongeBob a lot. People talked about Atlantis SquarePants a lot. People talk about Friend or Foe a lot, like, positively. And even in season 4, a lot of those specials got talked, or both of those specials got talked about a lot. But this one didn't get talked about all that much.
It's not like they parody it in any way. It's just milk instead of alcohol. I'm pretty sure I've seen that substitution in other cartoons. And what?
I say that and I don't mention what cartoons. Come on, Pie Guy. You can't just say that. I think I've seen that somewhere.
Is up with that stupid coffin jockey gag? Is coffin jockey a common term in the Wild West? Is that some sort of slang for saying that you're gonna die? Okay, maybe, but it's definitely not a common one, and it was not funny, and is definitely not funny enough to be an actual part of the story, to the point where instead of having SpongeBob ride an actual seahorse, he rides a coffin. It's not funny, and it's just really weird. Oh, and this episode has a filler ending in it. Yes. Apparently the people that run this show cannot tell a story that actually fills up the 22-minute runtime, no matter how hard they try. The very end, SpongeBob and Old West Patrick sing a song about idiot friendship, which reminds me, that term is used a lot throughout the episode, and I'm sure inspired some kids to call their friends idiot friends. And for all of the talk of friendship in this, does Patrick really even do anything for SpongeBob, aside from get him back into town? The song itself isn't terrible, but definitely not up to SpongeBob's regular standard of awesome songs. Maybe if they had cut that, as well as SpongeBob looking for a famous relative, they could have fit in an actually funny Patchy segment. Then again, after Atlantis SquarePants, I'm not sure that they'd want to put Patchy in any more episodes. If all of these problems in the episode weren't enough to make it a scumbob, then I'll tell you what definitely is. The accents in this. SpongeBob and a little bit of Old West Patrick have terrible accents that sound really obnoxious. They should not have bothered doing this, especially SpongeBob, because when you have an old Western accent that's really high-pitched, it does not sound good. It's probably far from the worst SpongeBob special, but it is a scumbag episode in its own right, which is a real shame, because I'm sure they could have had a lot of fun with SpongeBob in the Old West. Maybe they just saw how many views Dungeons and Dragons drew in and tried to just copy that format without putting in any of the parody or imagination. Episode 97A, 20,000...
Alright, before I go on to rate that, I am just going to really quickly change the title of this video. I think we're just going to cover Season 5 today. I don't have the time to do Season 6 as well. I was kind of hoping we'd get through this quicker, but at the same time, you know, I wanted to properly talk about it. I don't really like when you know, people do streams and they're like, well, we got to get through this, guys. We got to keep going. We got to end this. I'd rather yeah, it did sound like Squidward there. Weird. I'd rather give it the time it deserves, you know, because it's like the options are I could do Season 6 today, but we would be moving along very, very quickly. Or we could cover that probably next Sunday, maybe the Sunday after, depending. So, all right. I don't think that review was very good. I think maybe that's a D tier review, to be completely honest. C tier review, in my opinion, the accent critique was good. I find Plankton Small be not as deep as you made it sound. The thing is, I don't know, like, I don't remember the episode, so I don't really know if it's accurate or not. But I go on for a long time about a lot of stuff. I was so hyped for Pest of the West that I taped like 7 minutes of it, of just promos for it. Then the episode was what it was. Yeah, I do feel like it seems like if I were to watch it today, I don't think I'd give it more than a meh. I'd probably still give it a scumbob, but it doesn't seem like I don't think it's something I would like. But it does seem like one of those just more forgettable specials in the shuffle.
Patties Under the Sea. SpongeBob and Patrick find a submarine and use it to take the Krusty Krab on the road. There's a lot of interesting things about this episode, like the fact that if that submarine's supposed to be a human submarine, why is it so tiny? Also, Jack M. Crazyfish gets a cameo here. And, my favorite part, the con man from Chocolate with Nuts makes a reappearance, in which SpongeBob and Patrick end up giving him a ton of money, and he walks away a richer man. It's a perfect cameo and really funny. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it fits the scenario so well. The ending is kind of weird too, like it feels very abrupt. I'm not sure if it's trying to say that those colored rocks are actually worth something and Mr. Krabs is happy, or that they're just worthless. Is there any significance to the fact that they kind of look like goldfish rocks at the bottom of a goldfish bowl? I have no idea. And I will say, the episode felt a little bit unfocused in that it kept switching back and forth between Plankton and SpongeBob and Patrick. I feel like you could have cut the Plankton stuff out of this episode, and you could have told an entire story just with SpongeBob and Patrick selling food in the submarine. Although it's a little bit weird, I don't actually mind it that much because Plankton's stuff in this episode is really funny. The fact that he's...
Alright, Paga, you cannot say you could cut the Plankton stuff and then also say Plankton stuff is really funny. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Paga? That's contradictory.
Just openly insults an entire family so cruelly in public and then gets a ton of rocks thrown at him because of it. That entire sequence is really funny. Also, there's this stupid gag where SpongeBob says bye to Squidward twice and then says, I like Squidward. A lot of people read into this as something, but personally, I just think it's a really stupid line. So, is this episode good or ScumBob? I actually wasn't that sure. I had to think about it for a little while. But you know what? I'm gonna call it a good episode. I'm sure it has its flaws, like when Plankton is floating down, his line isn't actually synced up to its lips. And the fact that the lol squid thing really doesn't make any sense. Guys, it's a squishy solid. Why is that concept so hard? It's a pretty fun plot, and it has a few decent gags.
I don't think that's a good review. I think that's either a D or a ScumBob, to be honest. Again, the episode's pretty forgettable to me, so I don't remember if this is like good, true to what happens in the episode, but I don't think it's a good review. Yeah, we'll throw in ScumBob. Again, I feel like you could have made an unfunny episode, but you had to make a good one. Darn. Is it good or ScumBob? Med does not exist. No. Alright.
That's really all I can ask for. Episode 97B, the Battle of Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob and Patrick fight each other in a battle over cleanliness. I like the fact that the war that Patrick starts over cleanliness and dirtiness that he claims to have happened in Bikini Bottom is actually not something that happened. I like the fact that this is just something that Patrick completely made up, and maybe there actually was a real, actual violent war in Bikini Bottom at some point. Maybe it was even the one that Mr. Krabs was a part of. There's not really that much to say about this episode. It's pretty much just a back and forth between SpongeBob and Patrick, much like in episodes like The Snowball Effect, which is a formula I think works pretty well. Both characters are on an even playing field, so it doesn't feel like Patrick is obnoxiously a jerk in this episode. And although this episode pretty much hinges on showing us a bunch of dirty stuff, none of it is really that bad, and it's really fast, so you never really have too much of a chance to be grossed out. Plus, and this is really important, SpongeBob is grossed out along with the audience. Therefore, it's not just showing us something random and gross to shock us, but actually a part of the plot, and it shows SpongeBob sympathizing with us in that it is gross. The way SpongeBob and Patrick fight each other is really awesome too. I like how creative they are with it. See that quote over there? That's put up here for irony. It is not a ScumBob. It is a good episode. It's just a fun back and forth between SpongeBob and Patrick that isn't gross or mean-spirited. Episode...
Okay, I think that's maybe a B tier. I like what I say. I feel like maybe I could have explained it a little better. But I do kind of... I like using like classic episodes as shorthands of like, well, this is a formula that worked here, or like I liked the formula here, so they're using it again, and I think they use it to good effect. Like I think that's a good way to kind of talk about SpongeBob, I guess, when there's so many episodes. And I'm just starting to feel like maybe I just don't remember this stuff just because I didn't watch it when I was a kid, and it's really that simple. It's just I don't, even though I watched these 3 times, I just don't remember it because it was so long ago. I do remember whatever happened to SpongeBob, though. This is one, I guess if I rewatched it again for Spongy Bits, it probably sticks in my mind a little better. Thank you for the super chat, Party Nick. Personally, while I admit this episode isn't as gross as some people on the internet made it out to be back in the day, I consider it to be meh still, just not very funny. Also, happy Sunday, Pie Guy. Happy Sunday to you too, Party Nick. All right, so can anybody tell me whatever happened to SpongeBob? Oh dear.
98. Whatever happened to SpongeBob? After running away, SpongeBob loses his memory and tries to make it in New Kelp City. Much like in Pest of the West, this episode is really bland. It's actually kind of funny that
My headset keeps turning off for some reason. Oh boy.
SpongeBob becomes a sheriff in that one, and SpongeBob, or Cheesehead, becomes a mayor in this one. If I had to pick between the two episodes, I'd probably pick this one. They're both really boring, but this one is less offensively so. Nothing in this episode is actually funny, although it's mildly amusing when they start calling him Cheese Boy. I also question the choice to make SpongeBob lose his memory. It's such a cliche, and it's kind of weird that they would do this, especially when SpongeBob's character is so flexible that they can pretty much do whatever they want with him anyway. I will say the climax in this is a lot better than Pest of the West, in that there's actually some interesting things going on with SpongeBob and his bubbles versus the gang and their slingshots and stuff. Also, and this is small, but why is the mayor of Bikini Bottom also the mayor of New Kelp City? Just make another character model, guys. This one's another scumbag, although, like Pest of the West, it was relatively close to meh. I think what ultimately does is the fact that SpongeBob loses his memory, so we're really following a main character who isn't even our main character anymore, and is in an unfamiliar location. It almost feels like some sort of weird backdoor pilot to some spin-off show of SpongeBob's twin. The entire thing just really feels off. It's a shame too, because this one could have also been salvaged. If SpongeBob had actually wanted to set out for the big city on his own, I don't know, maybe to try to make it there, maybe to prove to everyone else that he could make something of himself in the big city and come back a winner, then yeah, this could have worked. Could have been cool to see SpongeBob journey to outside lands. Could be cool to see SpongeBob in a big city. But no, this entire thing is just really bland, and without any side characters for SpongeBob to bounce off of, he's also not very interesting on his own. Oh, and Gary looks horrifying without his shell. Also, man, is everyone just really mean-spirited towards SpongeBob in this episode? Like, seriously, it seems like everyone decided to call him Idiot Boy specifically to make him feel bad. What's also kind of weird about this episode is that SpongeBob is highly perceptive of what his friends think about him, when usually, Squidward will openly insult him and he'll have no other expression but happiness on his face. I suppose I should say something about the face that SpongeBob makes in New Kelp City, and it's an interesting one. Episode.
I don't even really comment on it. I kind of like that because everyone talks about that. So there's I don't what do I have to say about it, you know? Thank you DDD for the super chat. The actor who played the Bubble Pop and Poise leader, Ray Liotta, sadly died in 2022. Well, that is very sad. Great actor though. Yeah, I think that was a good review. I think I did say mean-spirited, but to be honest, I think it is a mean-spirited episode. I think I'd give this an A. Like, yeah, what I remember about the episode is just, yeah, people are horrible to SpongeBob. He gets amnesia. He goes to the city, and then like he's doing well there, and then he comes, or they get him back or something, and then Squidward puts his brain in a trash can. I think that's that ending. This episode on the lighter side of SpongeBob. Wouldn't you agree? It's not the worst episode out there. It's very forgettable. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think a big thing, as I say in the review, this concept of like, we're following SpongeBob, but he's not really himself. It's like, and he's got this plot kind of separately from everyone else. It's just like, what are we supposed to take away from these scenes? We're not really following SpongeBob. It's I don't know. It's the episode would have been better if it wasn't what it is. So true. So true. Yeah. Okay, this is the one where Squidward puts his brain in the trash. I remember it just because I remember thinking this is just like the dumbest joke they could have ended the episode on. Like, it's not that it's like a horrible joke in and of itself. It's just for a 22-minute special, you would maybe expect a better ending joke than just a random thing. I think your reviews are getting better as they go. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, so here we are on an episode. So I just watched the Real Jim's review this episode, which is just very funny to see. I love watching Jims talk about SpongeBob because he genuinely has no He's like so outside of the discourse bubble that he's not tainted, and I love that. I love that. He can go into it and just have his like genuine um unironic opinions of without like people in his ear telling him stuff. He didn't see the early seasons either. Like he can just see this as what it is. And it's funny because listening to him review it, I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, I feel like that's the vibe. Like I feel like he nailed exactly what works and what doesn't work about this episode, but like why it's so beloved. So good on Jim. Jim is such a great YouTuber.
99A, the Two Faces of Squidward. After facial reconstructive surgery, Squidward suddenly becomes handsome. I mean, a hunk. This episode actually starts off really badly. SpongeBob and Patrick are being really annoying, and when we get to the hospital, this is the absolute low point of the episode where SpongeBob delays Squidward's bandages coming off, and it is really annoying and really overly long. But everything changes when those bandages do come off. It is so surprising that they decided to make Squidward handsome instead of, oh, I don't know, deformed or super gross looking or ugly, that you just don't even expect it. And it's not like it's even that funny, more that it's just that rewarding to watch. To see Squidward actually be handsome and come out on top for once. To see him have the adoring fans he so wanted. It's just a rewarding viewing experience. There's a few gags here and there, but what really makes this episode amazing is once Squidward becomes really handsome. Not only is it really cool to see the fact that they did some non-linear editing by showing the guy flying up into the sky and his shoe falling. Apparently that scene took place a lot later than we saw it in this episode. But when SpongeBob pushes Squidward and he's swirling in slow motion, super handsome, and there's some dramatic Italian music in the background, that was so funny. I don't think I've laughed that hard
I should have put some opera
SpongeBob
music as a
episode
background
in
for this
a
review.
very long time. I mean, it feels like Francis Ford Coppola directed this thing. It's also really nice to see throughout the episode that Squidward and SpongeBob are kind of united in this journey, and that when the universe isn't hating on him, Squidward can be a downright nice guy. I like that they play with expectations of smashing Squidward's face to get it to go back to normal, in that yes, ultimately violence does reverse it, but it's not in the exact same way that caused it. I know I've said this a million times, but the ending is incredibly stupid, especially because we already got to see Squidward's face smashed a few times in the episode. It wasn't necessary to have it happen a bunch more. This is a really amazing episode, not just for its comedy, but also for its storytelling and subverting of expectations. Episode 99.
Oh, okay. VLC crashed again. That's fine. Who's Francis Ford Coppola? He directed The Godfather. He's a legendary director. Yeah, I think that's an S tier review, to be honest. I thought I covered just like what just what makes the episode good. And I feel like I say it in like a very succinct way. VLC's least favorite episode. Every VLC player update reviewed. I should have updated it. I should have done it. Oh no. I always wondered if Hubob was written as a 100th episode, but Nick packaged it weirdly, and we ended up not being the case. The SpongeBob history song celebrates 100 episodes and has it has the end episode mentioned. Yeah, possibly. The Italian song in the Act 1 finale is the Act 1 finale song from the opera Pagliacci. They parodied it on Hey Arnold, where Harold plays the crying clown. Yeah, great stuff. Maybe you guys would remember, was Handsome Squidward, I don't think Handsome Squidward was that much of a meme back in like, whatever, 2014, 2015 when this came out. It was definitely like a joke amongst SpongeBob fans, but I don't think it was like mainstream meme joke. Where like now it's like everyone knows about Handsome Squidward. Like they made Funko Pops, I think. Like, I could be wrong. Maybe it was that big a meme, but I think it blew up like in the time after this. It was before it. I remember first hearing about it 2018, seeing it outside of Sponge. Well, it is now. I know it's a meme now. It's but I just mean like back then. It wasn't as big as it got. People knew it, but like it's gotten bigger. Yeah, I feel like it's like maybe even outside of SpongeBob, maybe like the animation community, it was a meme. But I feel like now it's just, well, maybe not now. Now it's like a dead meme or whatever. But like, you know, a few years ago, it breached the mainstream. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, DDD. They've referenced Handsome Squidward a few times in some of the more recent episodes. Of course they have. Why wouldn't they have? I'm sure Handsome Squidward appears as many times as Nosferatu.
Are you ready, kids?
All right, hang on, let me get back to where we were. This stream is not sponsored by VLC. That's too small. There we go. Thank you for the super chat, Dorothy. Yes, SpongeHenge, the episode that made Pie Guy quit watching the show. It makes me realize he's not watching SpongeBob, but rather ScumBob. Oh, SpongeHenge. All right, let's...
Bob FP, but also for its storytelling and subverting
music,
of expectations. Episode 99B, SpongeHenge. Jellyfish become attracted to SpongeBob after his holes start making music. If you've been living under a rock, this is my personal least favorite episode. I've already made an entire rant on it a few years ago, and while my opinions have changed a little bit since it, there are a few things in that video that are a little bit odd. The critique mostly stands. To give a quick recap, this episode is not funny at all, has a horrifying ending, and the entire thing feels like a parody to a movie that doesn't even exist. Yes, it has a reference to Planet of the Apes. Yes, it's a reference to Stonehenge. But the rest of the episode feels like it's trying to parody something. And if I can tell it's trying to parody something, but I can't tell what it's trying to parody, that's a complete failure. And if it's not trying to parody anything, then the story in and of itself is just incredibly odd and mean-spirited. I no longer think this is officially the worst episode of the show, but it's still my personal least favorite episode, because this was the episode that was so bad, so frustrating, so un-SpongeBob-like, that made me wake up and realize that the show was no longer the same. It is very much a
ScumbAB.
I think this is just too melodramatic.
Episode, and that song will haunt my nightmares. I pray to Neptune and Poseidon that I never have to see it again. Episode 100A.
Alright, well, yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Pran. Could have been more elaborate, to be honest. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people like that episode. Pie Guy woke up. This was my awakening. Wait a minute, SpongeBob isn't good anymore? Oh no. This was the review that made me realize every episode of SpongeBob Reviewed was never going to be the same. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I'd give it like a D tier. I don't know. ScumbAB Review, the episode wasn't even bad. Well, I mean, just because you disagree with me on the rating doesn't make it a bad review. I don't know. I think maybe that's memorable, at least. The review or my or the episode. Yeah, I feel like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this in ScumbAB. Believe it or not, I'm gonna throw it in ScumbAB. If I were to watch this episode again, as I've kind of mentioned, I'm a little more open-minded to things that aren't, I guess, within the usual scope of SpongeBob, and I don't know that I would like the episode now, but I think I would try to review the episode for what it is, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess in fairness, Past Me isn't wrong. Like, it is true. This was the episode that I saw that I was like, wow, I don't think SpongeBob, like, I don't think it's good. Like, this is just not a good episode. And it's so not a good episode, it just really turned me off of the show. But at the same time, like, I feel like doing a review like this, I should have tried to understand the episode a little better. You know, I feel like I don't know. I don't know that my opinion has changed or would change on the episode itself, but I definitely understand why some people like it. I don't. It's I don't know that it would crack any bottom lists of mine these days. And the review isn't good at explaining why it's bad. It's just very different. Yeah, I mean, I do say I don't think the episode is very funny, and that I feel like it's inscrutably weird. That's kind of what I say in the review, but I definitely should have been more elaborate. But it definitely, again, it did, for better or worse, it was definitely the episode that made me go like, oh, like this show is just different. This show is very different now. Like it's, so, but yeah, I also understand that that's just my opinion, but all right.
Banned in Bikini Bottom. When the police chief bans Krabby Patties, Mr. Krabs must sell them in secret. So I was initially very down on this episode. The fact that it starts off with a very, very annoying song that gets repeated 2 more times in the episode really doesn't do it any favors. Also, the episode is very similar to a Cat Dog episode where they spoof Prohibition, and I personally think that one's better. That being said, the whole Prohibition of Krabby Patties idea could have been better had it been taken a little bit further,
a stock animation
but as it
plot.
stands, it doesn't actually have too much time in the episode. It feels like there's a lot of filler between that song and other stuff that goes on in the episode. It doesn't end up feeling like there's too much substance to this
Wait, hang on. This and the Cat Dog episode were written by the same guy? Really? Oh, that's actually kind of funny. I should have said that.
Although there is a few decently funny laughs in the middle of it. Plankton has a lot of good one-liners, as does Mr. Krabs, such as when he calls Squidward Squidwart. Other than that, though, it's a pretty forgettable and bland episode. Meh. Episode 100B.
I think that gets a D tier. I think Banned in Bikini Bottom suffers that victim of being one of the last reviews of the season, and Pie Guy's just kind of over it. Like, I'm just like, I need to come up with something to say, so I'm going to say something quickly and move on. I mean, I don't know. The review wasn't awful, but I don't know. I could have said more. All right. Stanley S. SquarePants. This one goes out to the one person that kept asking me about Stanley S. SquarePants last time.
Stanley S. SquarePants. SpongeBob's clumsy cousin comes to visit. So, did you ever want a more annoying version of SpongeBob? Well, here he is, another one of SpongeBob's cousin we see this season, Stanley S. SquarePants. The plot of this episode really meanders. First, it's just about SpongeBob showing Stanley around Bikini Bottom, then suddenly it turns into Stanley working at the Krusty Krab and SpongeBob getting blamed for his poor behavior. SpongeBob covers for Stanley, which is kind of annoying to watch, and it's pretty obvious that at a certain point SpongeBob's gonna snap and blame Stanley for all the stuff that he's been doing wrong. There's something about Stanley that makes me just instantly not want to like him. I'm not sure if it's his voice or his character design or just the way he acts. The episode is really light on the comedy too.
Wow,
There's one joke where
that was like an abrupt edit there.
SpongeBob says that there's nothing on TV, and there's another gag where apparently Mr. Krabs has 3 nephews that solve mysteries, which sounds a little bit like DuckTales. I like the very, very subtle reference there. But aside from that, nothing is really funny. I was almost gonna call this episode meh, but ultimately, it's a SpongeBob episode. It's really boring, not funny, and doesn't need to exist. The character is a total waste as well. It's probably on the lighter side of SpongeBob, but it's still scummy nonetheless. And that...
It's still scummy nonetheless. I don't know why it's on the lighter side of SpongeBob. That review's maybe like a C. Yeah. Stanley is spelt wrong on the slide. Oh no. Oh no. We don't have to get into my typos. But it is, I do, so like, last time I had my spiel about how the show kind of stopped developing, and I feel like the relatives in this season are like a good example of that like they introduce Stanley and Blackjack and these other characters, and they could have been more frequently appearing characters, or like they could have had like 1 or 2 comeback episodes, maybe in season 6 or something, or even like a cameo. I'm not saying I really like those characters, but I'm just saying, like, you would think that maybe they would try to do something and develop his family a little more, and they just don't. I'd say put your review of this episode on the C tier. Yep. All right. Stan Lee. All right.
is every episode of SpongeBob Season 5 reviewed. Alright, let's look at the pie chart. So as you can see, there were 18 good episodes, 8 meh episodes, and 15 ScumBob episodes. So, how does this season stand as a whole? Well, first of all, there's still more good episodes than ScumBob, although it is getting close, and I do fear that there will be a season where the ScumBob surpass the good. Taking into account everything that has happened this season, I think I'm pretty fair in calling it a meh season. It's not meh in the same way as Season 4, though. Amazingly, they have the same amount of good episodes, but with Season 5 having more ScumBobs and less meh. Season 4 was meh because the good episodes, well, most of them anyway, weren't that good. Likewise, the ScumBob episodes weren't that bad. Mostly. And there was a lot of episodes that just fell right in between. It was meh because it didn't really pull in one direction or the other, with a few shining and stinking exceptions. Season 5, on the other hand, is totally split down the middle. There's a lot of episodes this season that are truly fantastic, and for the most part, the good episodes here are all around better than the good episodes in Season 4, and hold up as well, if not better, than a lot of stuff in Seasons 1 through 3. On the flip side, most of the ScumBob episodes this season are way worse than anything Seasons 1 through 4
like
could put out. So it falls into the meh category because it's just about equal parts of really good and really scummy. And speaking of scum, it's time for my bottom 5 episodes.
Yeah, you really can't guess which ones they're gonna be. Favorite Stan Lee cameo in a Marvel film? I mean, Tony Stank is pretty good. That was Civil War, I think. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this holds up pretty well. A lot of my analysis here, even if some of these episodes maybe would go up or down, in my opinion, I don't know. I feel like on the whole, it has good ideas and then it has bad ideas, and it tries to do something different, and I applaud it for that. I think it's not a hot take to say that like Season 6 is where the show just stagnated. Just really, really struggled. It struggled to come up with new ideas. It struggled with all the episodes they had to produce. It struggled. All the specials and yeah. But Season 5, they tried. I mean, I'm sure that all the writers and people behind the show tried all the seasons, but I feel like Season 5 had passion behind it in a way that I don't think Season 6 did. But yeah, keep going.
At number 5, we have Waiting. This was all around a completely pointless episode. The only reason it's so low on this list is because it wasted less of my time. Though trust me, it feels like an eternity. Number 4, To Love a Patty, which just proves that whoever looks at these scripts and gets to decide which episodes get greenlit has no idea what they're doing. Number 3, Fungus Among Us. Even if you take the disgusting parts out of this episode, it is still nothing but boring and mean-spirited. Number 2, SpongeHenge. This episode does not feel like it's something that belongs in a SpongeBob cartoon. If you want to do something that's crazy and edgy, then do something like SB129 and actually make it funny. And the worst episode for Season 5, Atlantis SquarePants. Since I did the whole singing gimmick, I'll take a minute to talk about it here.
Yeah,
if you're not happy with this, trust me, I'll be talking about it again at a later date.
Yeah.
This entire thing is an incredibly frustrating viewing experience. What makes this thing completely unbearable to watch is that it's like they took 4 ScumBob episodes and mashed them all together into one giant thing with some incredibly awkward and out of place patchy segments in between. Although this thing actually promises to have some sort of a plot, and in the beginning it seems like they're going to try to, it literally is nothing but songs and ripping off Willy Wonka. And the songs range from unbelievably bad to just kind of mediocre.
Yeah, see, like, I actually even go back in the slide and review it. Like, I could have put this, just like, you know, after the song, but then that would have been spending a lot of time on the special all at once, and I think it works better here. Before you end the stream, I'll say I may be inspired by your reviews to make your own reviews, like every episode of Clifford the Big Red Dog Season 1 reviewed or something like that. Yeah, go for it and enjoy. I'm glad I could be inspiring to people. I used to have a pretty, like, you know, like, don't use my format, be original, but honestly, everyone's got to start somewhere. So like, you know, if if I created a format that people like, then go for it. I'm glad to be inspiring.
Put a ton of things of that quality back to back to back with very little to no story in between or comedy, you get one really boring TV movie. Another thing that makes this worse than some of the other stuff in the season is that there isn't even any sort of shock value. It's not like an episode like To Love a Patty where, yes, it's horrible, but there's at least some sort of curiosity with it. If I tell you there's an episode where SpongeBob dates a Krabby Patty, you're gonna wanna see it just to know firsthand how bad and creepy the entire thing is. This was just boring and a gigantic waste of time. Alright, now for the top 5.
Waste of time. Yeah, people talking about also, like, having a lot of reverence for, like, seasons 4 and 5. And the thing, too, is, like, when you aren't reviewing it, right, when you just want to watch SpongeBob, you don't have to watch any of the episodes you don't like. You just watch the ones you like, right? And in that way, then fine. Like, you know, you don't ever have to think about. There's enough good episodes in this in season 4 that you could, you know, you still have a decent amount of television to watch, you know? So I totally get it.
Had a lot of choices to choose from, but I think these 5 episodes represent the very best of the season. Number 5, SpongeBob vs. the Patty Gadget. It was fun and it had a nice framing device. Number 4, Roller Cowards. This episode masterfully ups the tension every single moment, and there's a lot of good jokes thrown in as well. Number 3,
I feel like I'd probably put that higher. I should put that higher. I definitely, again, I would not have put SpongeHenge on the bottom 5. If I did, maybe at number 5, but not at number 2.
The Two Faces of Squidward. This episode should have been called Breath of Fresh Squidward because it actually was a nice change in how they treat the character. Number 2, Blackened Sponge. This was the biggest surprise of the season for me, as no one really talks much about this episode. But personally, I think it's got some really funny jokes and a really unique format, which adds a great structure to an episode with a ton of great one-liners.
Maybe I need to go back and watch Blackened Sponge again.
And to no one's surprise, at number 1, Krabs a la mode. This episode does an amazing job of capturing the magic of SpongeBob. I've already praised this episode a lot, so all I'm gonna say is that if you're not a fan of newer SpongeBob, please, at least check this one episode out. It really is worth your time. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't really have any expectations going into the season, so let's just move right on to notes. First of all, I'd like to point out SpongeBob's nose goes down whenever he gets sad this season. I'm sure this is something that's happened in the pre-movie episodes at least once or twice, and probably a few times in season 4, but in this season it is particularly noticeable. It seems that SpongeBob can't be sad without this happening. It's not a terrible design choice, but I don't know, I think it's a little bit unneeded. We know when SpongeBob's sad. The writers seem very aware of SpongeBob's status, like the Krusty Sponge is an entire episode built around the way SpongeBob is merchandised. But also, in Stanley S. SquarePants, SpongeBob says there's nothing on TV. Patrick says a similar thing in SpongeHenge, as well as calling SpongeBob a bad influence. Now, it could all be a coincidence, and it could just be the writers making jokes entirely unaware of the ironic nature of them. But at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's like another weird audio issue going on here. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let me change this down to mono.
Aware that the show is really going downhill at this point.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed is that the side characters' roles are definitely reduced here. Mrs. Puff appears in 2 shorts and her ancestor appears in a special. Pearl gets it even worse. Her only appearance is an over-the-phone cameo. And both Larry the Lobster and the Flying Dutchman appear exactly
That was the void I recorded this in. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I used for a long time an H4n recording microphone, and it's a stereo microphone, and honestly, these videos shouldn't have been stereo. There's no reason. I should have just mixed it down to mono, but yeah.
While SpongeBob has never had a big focus on the side characters, it is really weird that pretty much all of them got downgraded. All of them except for SpongeBob's parents. They appear twice in person and once in a picture, which technically speaking makes it the most they've ever appeared in a season, which leads perfectly into my next point that we see a lot of SpongeBob's family here. Not just his parents, but his grandmother makes another appearance. We get to see 2 of his cousins, 2 of his uncles, and we get to see his great ancestor SpongeBuck. This isn't really a bad thing because it's cool to see more of SpongeBob's family, but what is a little bit odd is the fact that they have 2 episodes fairly close to each other about one of SpongeBob's cousins. Seems a bit repetitive if you ask me, which leads me to my final note. SpongeBob is late a lot this season. For example, he's late in the episode New Digs. He's always on time in Patty Gadget.
Alright, I don't...
in the Blackened Sponge.
I guess
he's late in Ol Whatshisname.
vaguely
And
interesting.
according to SpongeHenge, he's never been tardy. Now, the inconsistency here does bother me, but you can explain that away by episode order and all that sort of stuff. What really is the issue here is how repetitive it is. They continuously use this one plot point over and over again this season. And it's not the first time it's been brought up either. He was late in Hooky, always on time in The Strangler, and in Have You Seen This Snail, he was also late. It's a sure sign that the writers are just being lazy with their plot points.
I don't think this really matters,
Can't think of something for Mr. Krabs to be mad at SpongeBob about?
Come on.
Oh, well, how about have SpongeBob be late? Can't think of a motivation for SpongeBob? Oh, how about the fact that he's never...
Oh, and my headphones died. They were sick of this rant. Thank you for super chat. Pran, do I like pixel art? Like just pixel art? Like the art style? Yeah, I think it's neat. And thank you, Taz. I'm back. Even if Pest of the West wasn't very good in retrospect, I still thought the scene where SpongeBob cleaned the statue was satisfying. I don't remember.
Been late for work. It's not even just that he's going to be late for work, it's the fact that it always has to say he's never been late for work.
Wrap it up.
Hey, writers, if you can't think of anything new to write, then either change it up or pack it in. Which brings me to my...
Jeez! Alright, dude. Alright. Calm it down.
Final thoughts on Season 5. If SpongeBob wasn't such a cash cow, the show would definitely have been canceled right here. And you know what? I would have been fine with that. If we had...
I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I don't know that that's the case, that it would have been canceled right here. I think it would have been canceled in Season 6.
3 amazing seasons, followed up by a lukewarm one, and one that had some really good episodes and some really bad episodes, I would be perfectly fine with it. While the entire vibe of most of the episodes of this season does not feel the same as Seasons 1, 2, 3, or even Season 4, it manages to do its own thing. It takes a lot of risks. Granted, it doesn't work a lot of the time when it takes these risks, but they were trying to make an effort to mix it up a little bit, and I respect them for it. Was it worth it to have all of those bad episodes to get all of these good episodes? Yes, I would say up to this point, sure, because there really is more good episodes in total than there are bad episodes. Up to this point. But I really can't say more until I've seen the next season. And as far as Season 6 goes, I haven't seen most of these episodes.
Boy.
So I'm gonna have my fingers crossed that they'll be good. Especially because the episodes I have seen of Season 6, they're really bad. So, thanks again to Encyclopedia SpongeBobia for their wealth of information on SpongeBob. Thanks again to Incompetech for the awesome music, and thanks again to SpongeBuddyMania for the awesome support and giving me the original idea to do this.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Mason, Picture Day is my comfort episode. Nice. Nice. Oh boy.
Special thanks to my artist Aaron for doing the awesome artwork once more, and a super extra special thanks to all of these patrons who helped support me while I made
Wow, I had a Patreon at that point. Any of these people, are you in the chat right now? I know Sukenzu was in here, and you were a patron for a while. I don't know if at this point, this is pretty early on, but let me know if this is any of you. New Digs is my second favorite episode this season. Thank you, Mason. Nice. How bad is Season 6? That is the question. Thank you, Riley. Hi, Pie Guy. It's great to see you again. I rewatched your Pikmin short film video recently, and I gotta ask, did you like Pikmin 4? Oh man, how long we got here? What kind of a time? I could talk about Pikmin 4 for a long time. Oh man, there was a hot moment where I almost made a Pikmin video because I was just, oh man. But I did not like how easy Pikmin 4 was. I did not like how much Ochi was spammed. But you know, it's got some good stuff in it. I enjoyed it, but I did think it was just way too easy with Ochi. I heard they added a new difficulty feature, and I've been meaning to check that out because that was just the number one thing. If I could turn Ochi off, I think that game would be really, really good, but he's just too good, and it's too hard for me to not use something that's just too good and right in your face. Anyway. All right.
This video. Seriously, thank you guys a lot for donating. And with that, PIEGUYRULZ out.
Well, and that's the end of the video. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. It's just it. I remember the same night I watched your season 6 video was also the day I went to the theater and saw the second SpongeBob movie. Nice. Epilogue? Oh no, there's no epilogue. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh dear. All right. Let's get on with it.
Epilogue. Never be clean. Never be clean.
Oh dear. Oh boy, cringe. But yeah. That be that. Yeah, a little cringe. It's okay. I had SpongeBob soap. I bought it for the video. Absolutely hilarious. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. All right. Well, let's we'll go for a few more minutes here. Thank you guys for joining me for this. Sorry we didn't get to season 6, but like I said, the options were basically rush through it to make it through these 2 seasons, or try to give both of them the time they need. And I was optimistic that maybe we could do both, but it didn't end up working out. So the epilogue needs its own ranking. I'm happy you're back, Pie Guy, once again. Well, thank you so much, Taz. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for everyone, whether you've done super chats or just regular chats, or if you're just watching and not chatting at all. Thank you all for being here. How did I feel about my reviews here over my season 4 reviews? I think in general the standard was raised. I think in general I did better. There were moments that I feel like I fell into the trap of falling for some of the discourse, I guess, like letting the discourse taint my opinions a little too much in terms of like characterization and mean-spiritedness, and taking the cartoon too seriously. I feel like I dipped into that a little bit too much, and I it's embarrassing. I wish I hadn't done that. But in my own fairness, if you're deep into it at this point, like I am, where I had to watch these episodes so many times, and I'm really trying to review things to the best of my ability and please people, and I see people's opinions on this and everything, like, and I want to make good reviews for all the reviews and stuff. Like sometimes it's hard not to get sucked in, but at the end of the day, for as seriously as you have to take it sometimes to review these things, you also do have to remember it's a cartoon. So. What did you guys think? I thought it was better than season 4, and I thought season 4 was a step up from seasons 2 and 3, which were a step up from 1. So, yeah. Thank you, Dorothy. I recall on you hating on your Atlantis song. I mean, it's cringy. It's cringy to listen to myself sing a bad song that I knew that I couldn't sing very well. It's tough, but again, people find it memorable. So what can you do? I created something, and I should be proud of that. I definitely thought it was your best season review up to that point. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I thought it was great overall. You're definitely finding your voice as a reviewer at this point. Well, thank you, CDCB. Yeah, I agree. I think, again, the fact that the worst things I do in this video were the things that like every SpongeBob reviewer was doing, like the traps of taking it too seriously, and I don't know, expecting people to know like the mean-spirited thing, and then Patrick's getting dumber, and like I don't know, I feel like in some ways I expected people to know things that I maybe should have elaborated on a little bit more, but yeah. Season 6 was a hilarious review. That's good. Oh, yeah, and there was, I think, some pretty funny moments in this season as well. the Patrick Patrick should never have nipples is, that's up there. That's up there pretty high. At one point in time, I wanted to cover your Atlantis review to make it sound like a hip hop. I mean, you could probably auto tune it. If I were to do it now, I would probably talk to some of my friends that know how to make music and like commission them to help me. Maybe auto tune it or like remix it or do something to make me sound less horrible. Make it a trap remix. Yeah. Yeah. In season 6, I say Mr. Krabs should never have nipples too. Oh, that's amazing. That's a good callback. I like that. I keep coming back to the season 6 reviews. Guy, don't hype it up too much for me. I'm gonna go into this with high expectations and be like, ugh. Pie Guy, would you call this review good, meh, or scumbob? I think I'd call it good. Let's put it this way. If I was going to re-review SpongeBob, I would definitely stop before season 5. I don't know if I would do season 4 or not. But I don't think this review needs me to re-review, or this season needs me to re-review it. I think between this and then of course the Spongy Bits, which I did Spongy Bits on several of these episodes, I feel like I've thoroughly covered it. Maybe my opinion would change slightly on some of these, but I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit more consistent here. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, it's just meh. good username. Fan contest to make the Atlantis SquarePants reviews sound good. Oh dear. I like the episode Patrick Smart Pants from season 4 and the moment Patrick began to miss SpongeBob after ending his friendship. Yeah, it's good. It's a good episode. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the fact that I put 4 reviews in S tier this season, I think that says something, I think that says that I don't know. I mean, even the fact that even some of it holds up pretty well, I'm pretty impressed with. So I'd like a revisiting SpongeHenge video. You know what? Fair enough. I think maybe of any of this, that's the thing that would deserve a revisit. But I don't know, because I could watch it again and be like, yeah, I'm more open-minded to weird SpongeBob ideas, but I still think it's trash. Like, that might be it. I don't know. I just don't know. All right, we're going to go for a few more minutes here, so if you have any other questions or comments, anything to say about Season 5, or just whatever, get them out here. Thank you, Ethan, for the super chat. Your Season 6 review is probably the funniest one. I do remember... I don't know, I have this thought in my mind that Season 6 was my best review. That Season 7 was also very good, but by Season 7, it was like, oh no, like this show has really just lost itself, and I started this project to hopefully be like, maybe more positive, maybe like, yeah, there's a bunch of good episodes in here, and people are just hating for no reason, and by the time I got to Season 7, I was like, maybe SpongeBob should end. Like, maybe it's over. And I think Season 8 brought it up a little bit. I don't think Season 8 was very good, but I think it was definitely, I think it was better than 6 and 7. And then, of course, Season 9 definitely was better than a lot of what came before it. Spongy Bits on SpongeHenge. Even if your opinion hasn't changed, I'd still be interested. All right. Well, we'll see what can be done. We shall see. To be honest, I don't love the Season 7 review. I kind of wish you were critical on it, since it's, in my opinion, worse than Season 6. I mean, I don't remember. This is just from my memory. Maybe we will get to Season 7 and I hate it. I don't know. Season 7 review, I mean. One thing you did get out of doing this is that even the worst seasons still have good stuff. That's absolutely true. The point about that there is hidden gems in every season of SpongeBob, and depending on your perspective of it all, maybe it's all worth it, right? Maybe having all these horrible episodes and the show taking a giant downturn, maybe it's worth it, because every so often you do get something that is truly great. You were the one who got me into the animation critique community. Are there any upcoming reviews you're gonna regret? What? Upcoming reviews I'm gonna regret? No, if I regretted them, I wouldn't do them. If I regretted them in the moment. I mean, like, Pie Guy, name one hidden gem from season 7. I don't remember what's in season 7. I don't know. I don't know what's in season 7. But there's gotta be something, right? I mean, I'm looking at season 6 here, and is No Hat for Pat season 6 or season 7? I don't remember. That's the thing. The seasons like 6, 7, and 8 like blur in terms of what's in them, so I don't remember. Maybe if I rewatch the reviews, it'll kind of come back, you know. Thank you for the super chat, Super Cookie. I've been watching since elementary school, and it's really great to see you back. Can't wait for you to get to season 6. Yeah, it's gonna be hype. It'll either be next Sunday or the Sunday after. I might have plans next Sunday that prevent me from doing this, but it'll be one or the other. Thank you, DDD. Your season 7 and 8 review IMO is when your opinions got interesting. You gave some episodes that were unpopular at the time, like Greasy Buffoons and Oral Report, Bubble Troubles, Krusty Dogs, and in SpongeHenge Goods. Oh yeah, I do remember liking Greasy Buffoons for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think season 6 and 7 were definitely painted by, again, people. It's just weird because like I hadn't seen a lot of the episodes, but at the same time, like I couldn't ignore like people would want to give me opinions on SpongeBob, so I did have knowledge of how bad some of it is, and it's hard to shut it out sometimes. But I feel like I had enough kind of interesting takes to show that I am not just going along with what people say. Like, it certainly can influence my opinion, but it's not the end all be all, and I don't know, I stand by it. Like, I just feel like SpongeBob is a very subjective type of show, so the jokes, like what hits in an episode, is going to be very different from person to person, because it's so joke based or gag based. You made Back to the Past less popular. Look, I stand by that review. I will stand by that. I hated that episode so much. I'm sorry if that made anyone like it less. Like, don't let me influence you if you really like the episode. Great. I thought it was just terrible. Just really terrible. Yeah, of course, every piece of entertainment is subjective, but I feel like something that is more of a beloved story, it's easier to point to, like, why that story works, right? Like, what is satisfying about it? Like, I'll use Back to the Future as an example. Like, there's a lot of structural things in that make it satisfying. We have a lot of setup early in the movie and payoff later in the movie. There's just like a lot of things you could talk about and things that you could say that are like, well, this is good, this works, this is satisfying filmmaking. And yeah, sure, maybe some people will watch the movie and not care about that or not feel the same way. That's fine. But I feel like even though it's subjective, it's a little more objective, or it's not as like complete hit or miss, right? It might be more of like degrees, whereas a joke in SpongeBob, it's like you either find it funny or you don't. Maybe it's some people find it really funny and some people find it kind of funny, but you either find it funny or you don't. So I feel like that's what I mean when I say like it's very subjective. But yep, truth. Hey, I see you, Sukanzu. Lots of people like, well, maybe not lots of people, but there are people out there that like Truth or Square, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I think you got more used to the weirdness of middle SpongeBob. Yeah. After watching and reacting to your SpongeBob videos, what is your next plan? I have plans, but I don't really want to go into detail. I've been working on a Fiona and Cake video, but I don't really want to go into much more detail than that because I have ideas and I have plans. But whenever in the past I've like stated like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, generally, like, you know, something in my life happens and I can't live up to that, and I feel bad for letting people down or whatever. So, you know. So I don't want to be too specific, but there is plans. It's not just gonna be like live streams only forever. Though the patchy stuff back as a kid, I even saw issues with the SpongeBob. Oh, I don't know. Oh, for Truth or Square. Story structure is the science that the art is framed around. Yeah, so like that's the thing. A lot of people that are, I don't like laymen, like that haven't studied film or whatever. There are rules. There are things that are considered good filmmaking techniques, best practices, and of course you can break those rules if you have a good reason to break them. Art is of course subjective, but like I run into this a lot on the internet. Like people, like okay, so the Scrubs reboot is happening, or the continuation season or whatever, and I'm genuinely really liking it, a lot of it. But one of the things I don't like is the cinematography of the shallow depth of field shots, where everything in the background is super blurry. Right? They went through they painstakingly recreated the hospital from the original show that was knocked down in real life, and yet all we see in so many shots is just blurry backgrounds over and over again. And I see people online that are like, "Oh, why do you care? Like, what does it matter?" And it's like, well, it's cinematography. Like, it's important. There's many people that devote their life to perfecting the craft of it. And of course, there's subjectivity to it. Of course, it's not pure objectivity. But to say like it doesn't matter is just like, come on, like you just don't know. Like you don't know how much things like that do matter. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant there. That was a bit of a rant. Was it a set or did they film in a real hospital? Yeah, they filmed in a real hospital with Scrubs. They found an abandoned hospital, and they turned like one floor into just like offices for and dressing rooms, and then they used one floor for actual filming. I am not a VTuber. How dare you? Speaking of reboots, have you seen the Malcolm in the Middle reboot? And did you ever like the original? Thank you for the super chat, Noxier. I did see the reboot, and I did watch the original. I didn't watch it when it was like airing originally, but I had seen all of it a few years ago. And yeah, Malcolm in the Middle is pretty good. It's definitely not my favorite one camera sitcom, but it's pretty good. And the new mini series thing they put out, I thought was also pretty good. There were some things I had an issue with, like I didn't love that they really, like, Bryan Cranston is a great actor, a great star, and his character is great on the show, but they really gave him a lot of screen time in this that felt like it could have maybe gone to seeing more of the dynamics of the rest of the characters interacting with each other. So there were a few things, but otherwise I thought it was pretty good as a whole without saying anything. Anything spoilery, I mean. Let's see. I counted the same way you used the word terrible in the patchy segments of Truth or Square, and it totals up to 10 times. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I definitely repeat myself less in the Season 5 review, but there are a few ticks that they just peek on through. Disgusting. They gave him the most screen time because he's the guy from Breaking Bad. Yes, because he's a big star now. Yes, that is why he helped produce it. That's true. But, like, I didn't like Malcolm in the Middle just for Hal. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely hilarious. Gag. All right, everyone. So, like, thank you for joining me here. We will be back in a week or two. I'm not sure yet. But we will be back to talk about Season 6. And, yeah, I'm so glad we got to put some S tiers in here. And this was a fun stream. This was a very fun stream, everyone. So, with that, I will say, PIEGUYRULZ, out.